the third day. In case you have any queries, please drop it down in the chat box and we will get it resolved for you. So without much ado, I would like to proceed into this workshop's introduction. It was rightly pointed out by David Sarnoff that research is the distance between an idea and a realization. The prevailing pandemic has made the entire humankind pause, reflect, and weigh the pros and the cons. Today, all of us unite here as the academic community so that we can rightfully educate ourselves to know how to research before giving life to any of our thoughts. And there can be no better time to host a 3-day national workshop on a significant topic such as quantitative and qualitative techniques for social science research. This workshop is spread across 3 days with eminent resource people guiding us throughout. I know all of you are extremely excited and want to get into the workshop. So, without much ado, I would like to give a small introduction to Professor Dr. V. Balaji, our Registrar in Charge, Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, who has got an 18 years experience of teaching, research, and administrative experience. So far, Sir has produced 7 PhD scholars in law and interpretation, and Sir has completed his undergraduate law degree from prestigious Ambedkar Law College, Chennai, and his post-graduation in international law and constitutional law from an illustrious institution, Department of Legal Studies, University of Madras. Sir has also got his doctorate degree in law of human rights from the University of Madras. I now invited Professor Dr. V. Balaji, Registrar in Charge, Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, to welcome our August virtual gathering.
Thank you, Sonu. I'm audible.
Yeah, audible, sir. Audible.
Thank you. At the outset, a very good morning to one and all. It's a pleasant weather today. In this, I just welcome all to the 3-day online national workshop on quantitative and qualitative techniques for social science research, organized by our Department of Library, Tamil Nadu Ambedkar Law University today. I'm very much happy to welcome our Honorable Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar sir, the Vice Chancellor of this university, and the Honorable guest today, Professor Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, Controller of Examination, Professor and Head, Department of Library and Information Science, Bharatidasan University, Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, who is currently the Advisor Academic with the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Dr. M. Kannan, Assistant State Nodal Officer, Tamil Nadu Police Wellbeing and Director Research, MSc IMHR, India. I also welcome my esteemed colleague, Dr. Ashok Kumar, the University Librarian of Tamil Nadu Ambedkar Law University, Dr. A. Bhagavati, University Assistant Librarian, the Organizing Secretary of this workshop, and the moderator, Sonu Mehta, and all other members of the organizing team. I also welcome, it's a privilege to welcome our honorable members of the Syndicate and Academic Senate of the Tamil Nadu Ambedkar Law University, the Controller of Examination, Director of PG Studies, Director Research and Publications, heads of all the departments of the university, principals of all affiliated law colleges, and faculty members, and my beloved students of School of Excellence in Law, affiliated law colleges, and the dear participants and administrative staff. With immense pleasure, I would like to welcome every reverend person present here today to the workshop. Henry Ward Beecher has made a quote saying, "A law is valuable not for it is the law, but because there is a right in it." It is indeed an honor and privilege to have our revered Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar sir. Of course, unfortunately, he could not be able to make it to the program, but he has sent his congratulatory message to all for the success of this program. Our Vice Chancellor is discharging the assigned duties without fear or favor. Our Vice Chancellor is a person who believes that discipline can be the remedy when nothing else can work. With his allegiance in making progress of legal institutions a reality, Sir has achieved very remarkable developments in the Department of Legal Studies, like starting of 7 new colleges, law colleges, spent nearly 800 crores for infrastructural developments, introducing 11 innovative master's degree courses in law in various law colleges, and appointed nearly 200 assistant professors for various law colleges, and served as a chairman and member of the convening committees of various universities. We are indeed honored to have you, sir, as our Vice Chancellor. It is a moment of great pleasure to have in our midst Professor Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, Controller of Examination, Professor and Head, Department of Library and Information Science, Bharathidasan University, who has always served the duties with utmost persistence in the academic community. With around 20 years of experience in teaching, Dr. Srinivasa has chaired many prestigious projects such as Smart Classroom Facility for High School Teaching, etc. Dr. Srinivasa has driven and is facilitating the manifold fidelity in the field of library and information sciences with utmost due diligence, adjoining aggrandizes to our community. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, who is currently the advisor academic with the NAC India. Dr. Ponmudiraj is an international expert and was a chairman of the accreditation committee in various global universities. He underwent training in Australia for qualitative assurance, peer review, and has training experience for nearly about 28 years. He makes us believe that striving hard shall produce results. I would like to welcome Dr. M. Kannan, Assistant State Nodal Officer, Tamil Nadu Police Wellbeing, Director Research, MSc, IMHR. Dr. Kannan is known for his unconventional techniques of teaching and his radical approach that stimulates the development of research fraternity through his plethora of contributions. I would fail in my duty if I had forgotten to acknowledge that he has 40 long years of teaching experience and has been a valuable guiding mentor to various students. It is our honor that we have you as our resource persons today, sir. I appreciate and welcome a person who is instrumental and who is also responsible for today's program, which is going very smooth. And the smooth conduction of this workshop is none other than Dr. E. Bhagavati, the University Assistant Librarian at Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University. I also welcome the whole team. It gives me a honor and joy to welcome all respected senior advocates and future advocates at this imminent event. I would like to leave this podium with one finishing quote, that there will be a time when we think everything is ending. The time is beginning, and so is today. Thank you for your time and patience. And once again, I welcome you all to this program. Thank you. Thank you, Varunda.
Thank you, sir, for taking out time and for coming here and welcoming this August gathering. It really does mean and encourage all of us that you took out time from your schedule to be here with us today. As sir had already mentioned that our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar, was not able to join us today, but I would like to say a few words about him because without his support and guidance, we wouldn't be where we are. The right quote to describe our Honorable Vice Chancellor would be, with great power comes great responsibility. Delivering such responsibility with utmost diligence is our Honorable Vice Chancellor. He is an ideal example for being both a dignified academician as well as an exemplary administrator. After acquiring his post-graduation in Commerce, Public Administration and Law, he pursued his PhD in law in the area of international acceptance of ADR and even suggested constitutional amendments to be made as compulsory before opting for judicial remedies. It would take me the whole day and I would still not finish the two distinct yet inevitable abilities that our Honorable Vice Chancellor holds. So we would always be grateful to you, sir, even though you were not able to join us today due to unavoidable circumstances. We will be grateful for your continued support and guidance. Moving a little forward, Professor Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, Comptroller of Examination in Charge, Professor and Head, Department of Library and Information Science, Bharatidasan University, is an epitome of knowledge. And I would fail in my duty if I did not mention that he's published more than 101 works internationally and nationally. Sir is a PhD holder who's completed his master's in library and information science as well as in arts. We are honored to have you in our midst, sir. I now invite you to deliver the special address.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. It's on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Sonu Mehta, for your magnanimous compliments. At the outset, I extend my sincere regards to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, who has really encouraging the Department of Library and Information Science and other colleagues to organize a good number of programs. And also, I come to know from the registrar introductory remarks that he could establish 7 law colleges and also many other new departments and contributed to the field of legal education and law. So my sincere thanks to Professor Santosh Kumar, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, and also I am very much indebted to acknowledge Dr. Balaji, a great teacher and professor of legal studies, registrar, who is also given that presential address here. And I could see Professor Kannan, and who was my mentor, and indeed he did help in my PhD analysis when I was pursuing my PhD in the early 90s. And I even start from the questionnaire design and till the analysis, but he won't simply teach step by step. He'll just give guidelines and he'll ask us to work actually in that way. So we could spend good amount of time with him sitting in the different corridors and discussing our research. That we really enjoy actually to understand that the variables, operational variables are in dependent variables, interdependent variables. And it was some full-time scholar. I could find a lot of time also to go and interact. So I could see here, and I don't know. Anyway, since the assignment has given to me, and I'm going to talk already, Dr. Baudi assigned that 20 to 25 minutes time, particularly for the younger researchers and research scholars who has joined in this national initiative. And my regards to Dr. Pundiraj, my close friend and a great academician, and who has traveled across the globe on ensuring the quality assurance in higher education, I would say. And of course, accredited more than 2,500 institutions repeatedly with his appropriate guidance and headship. Definitely, he could understand the different components of research. There are 2 things actually. One, we systematically study and we pursue, and we will follow it up. We can learn. The other thing, just by learning, doing actually. So in that way, they are keep on engaging, assessing the overall performance of higher education institution and the students, researchers, and academicians. So they could have a lot of experience. Even one small piece I would like to share actually, the NAC manual also, if you come across, since from its inception, that itself speak a lot of amount of the research on qualitative and quantitative aspects. Earlier it was, there is no any segregation like that. And later on, they could develop and accordingly the indicators and the metrics and all in a very scientific manner involving various stakeholders. So that itself speak about the research parameter, particularly in terms of the social science and the educational research. Okay, let me come to my topic. I just don't want to, I'll just share my slide so that I can quickly run through. The quantitative and the qualitative research, many times these both resemble same actually. Sometimes even in social science research also, and we use both closed end questions and open-ended questions. And nowadays, many they are having this triangular approach, using both the quantitative and qualitative research by choosing their methodology. So anyway, as it has been given to me, And qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative always it talks about the numbers, counts, and measuring of things, and it directly deal with the what we can say that descriptive, actually descriptive research design. Whenever people wanted to know what exactly it's taking place or to understand, and it also normally researcher choose when he is going to survey a large number of people. It can start from 100 respondents or 50 respondents, even above that, 5,000, 10,000, 2,000, all those poll surveys, opinion surveys. You can find that is one good example in that way. And the qualitative approach, that is about the concepts, characters, or opinions and definitions. By seeking that information by the researcher himself, he involved in the qualitative approach. Actually, he in the quantitative approach, anyone can take away the questionnaire and they can distribute and they can collect the data, and even that interview schedule also maybe it consists of the open-ended questions, but census interview and all, we can say an example of this quantitative. But in the qualitative, it is about probing, and the researcher skills is main concern, where the researcher he probe, though there are already prescribed questions are there, but he could collect the information by motivating, by probing, and really to understand what the situation prevails. And moreover, it is also the qualitative research, a researcher who himself can learn actually, because he wanted to understand, to have a more understanding about the particular phenomenon, which is not already known to many. So we can call it as an explorative pattern of research, the explorative research method. He has to find actually what is happening, and people do not know regarding that particular case or particular situation or particular problem the researcher has chosen. So that way, it will give a clear understanding about that particular situation or a particular research issue or particular problem, particular object. And moreover, not depending on the counts like the quantitative approach, they depend on the words and the pictures and objects. So the qualitative research that enable to reveal a pattern actually. So it develop theory. It also give new theory actually, rather than testing the already existing hypothesis. So research questions are there for qualitative approach, and hypotheses are there for quantitative approach. Normally, people do the quantitative, particularly in social science. Survey is one very big example, and Professor Kanan and all other stakeholders they may be knowing. And the survey also, the survey also, I can say it depends on the acceptable findings that tool or the questionnaire that should give actually. So we can say that when talk about this acceptable degree of accuracy rate, and also that surveys has to ensure, and that 95% of confidence interval normally in research they used to say, and when you repeat the same kind of the survey 100 times, only 5% of deviation you may find. So normally in survey, it depends on again, Professor Karan is here, that statistician who help to find a formula, or through that method or formula, they select the sample actually. So how much sample that may represent. And also it depend on again both quantitative and qualitative, depend on the context in which the research is being carried out. It just to know or just to study the prevailing environment, then in that case the quantitative that may suit actually, particularly when already I spoke a larger set of the respondents. Then for the investigative approach, to understand the particular issue which is not there, and also to understand more about that particular phenomenon, then the qualitative research kind of. The pragmatic approach, you can call it as a pluralistic approach also. It use both combination of the qualitative and quantitative approaches. In that way, now many research organizations, individuals, it has become common that this qualitative and quantitative approach that is being used in the research. And already talked, and it's about collecting the data, recording, analyzing, and attempting to uncover the deeper meaning and significance of human behavior and experiences. So based on the experience and based on the not only the qualitative approach, it seeks what they do and what they behave. So what based on what they do and what they say and what they behave, these three source they collect the information, and the researcher himself is subject that information for analyzing about recording, properly recording, and there are systematic recording and unsystematic recording. So based on the experience people do have, then it's associated with constructive paradigm. Researchers always interested in gaining rich and complex results. I already told they would like to have their own experience, and focus is on obtaining information that can be generalized to other larger groups. The quantitative approach, so collecting and covering data into numerical form, already I told, and defined as the value of data in the form of counts or numbers, where each data set has a unique numerical value associated with it. And quantifiable information that can be used for mathematical calculations and statistical analysis. Even I can quote an example, and every day you could find from all the newspapers the COVID-19 spread data, and even the lockdown and all, they are really fixing based on the numerical data which they collected from various parts of the state and country, and also the prevailing rate and various other measurements. So that decide the extent of the lockdown or introducing new concept or permitting or what it may be. So the data that will analyzed using mathematical calculation, statistical analysis, and it will enable to take people decisions. So many times it may happen even poll and other data also. The quantitative data is answer to questions such as how many, how often it happen, how much they can be verified scientifically, and also can be conveniently evaluated using different mathematical techniques. Even I can say quote the Reserve Bank data or World Bank data or IMF data. These are all very much available, and I could see our researchers from management or commerce or economics, they use this already available data, and they make a lot of studies, and they even submit their PhD thesis in that context also. And this is the both combination method already told. So every method has its own limitation, and it's all philosophical question. And what way you are going to combine? In one way, you can say that it will help. For example, quantitative research will help. The qualitative research will help to develop the research questionnaire or tool to be used in quantitative approach in a very meaningful, and because before you set question, you should have a thorough understanding about the concepts. And based on that concepts, you can derive the variables, and the variables also you can group and you can segregate unless otherwise you are not having a thorough understanding of that theory or the concept or the character or the pattern. So that way the one method help other method, and the quantitative approach, that method enable to supplement the exact figures and data by which that conceptual understanding, the dominance or the majority component of that particular context can be accepted. So in that way, both they contribute each other. Of course, the limitations also, the cost, availability of time, and the manpower, all those things determine the extent of the combination of this pluralistic research or both quantitative and qualitative approach also. If you are having good researcher and he can thoroughly understand, he can probe and he can interview and he can effectively add, then definitely it may be even in library information science, when we go for the user surveys, particularly to know the information needs and information seeking behavior, and also the use of the digital research tools and carrying out the online research pattern and the impact of the research productivity and all. We use both this combination of this quantitative and qualitative, not just merely survey. The researcher has to visit to meet the researchers and to survey the respondents in person by distributing the questionnaire and to explain them about the different concepts used in that particular questionnaire and observing the library environment or the research environment in that particular institutions. Then he can also use that the data filled by the researchers by using the questionnaire. So that is what the pragmatic approach. It all depends on again the philosophy of the institution or the individual or the researcher. And the tools and techniques, basically the young researchers or early career researchers, they should differentiate between the tool. Tool is platform or the channel or vessel or which you are using to carry out your research, to collect either data or to record the data or to analyze the data. But technique is appropriate technique. It depends on the particular subject. For science, for life science, for physics, chemistry, for every subject, there are some techniques which are common for all the scientific disciplines, and even some of the social scientific disciplines and scientific disciplines also. When you go on search Web of Science or Scopus, this kind of database, you can find a good number of technique based research actually. So one can also choose what kind of technique this particular research will be quite useful. And even for review of literature, you can also make. And another one important aspect in the qualitative research, the review of literature, even after the research, actually for all the research, the reviews we can make use even at the time of discussion also, but mainly on qualitative, and that will keep on goes. But for the quantitative, even to design the research tool and all, we need to close that review process. So that made the difference is that. And so techniques of procedure or process the researcher follows. Many times even scientific articles, they, because of the process, they publish their articles. But not normally in social science research, only the results or the analysis that may gain momentum in terms of scholarly communication, scholarly publication. But in science, all the protocols they publish, even the protocols themselves, they publish a separate research article like that. So that way, the technique, process or procedures having significant importance in scientific research. And tools and techniques in research are the statistical methods of collection, analysis, interpretation, presentation, and even organization of data. So infographics nowadays people are using, and that gain momentum actually. Even any report, this COVID-19 report or World Bank report or WHO report, lot of infographics people started using. That emerges a separate discipline. Researchers also, because of the advent of technology now, they are very much capable in using all these techniques. A lot of techniques are available. I just don't want to go into detail. And major tools, data collection tools, data analysis tools, reference management tools. So we can categorize in that way. To start with the collection tools. So any device or any instrument which is used, it may be a mobile phone, it may be a audio recorder, or it may be a camera, or whatever it may be, or it may be even paper, small paper. Just you can, in many surveys you can find 2 questions or 3 questions, particularly marketing and all. They just post the postings actually. Just you have to click yes or no. So everyday polling also people make actually. So not necessarily that you should have very long, lengthy 10-page or 20-page questionnaire schedule or interview schedule. It may be unstructured also, and it may be structured also. So any device which is used to collect data, that is called as tool. A paper questionnaire or computer assisted interviewing system, case studies, checklist, interview schedules, recordings, personal observation, diary and audio, video surveillance already told, surveys, instruments. In scientific research, they use a lot of instruments. Even here in our Badas University, we do have the instruments that cost about 3 crore, 4 crore, and very small. Even I can say that these trap cameras, just for 2,000, 3,000, that also people use actually to study the different the animals or birds or it may be. Then there are a lot of instruments. You can quote a lot of example. Even in social science, normally what instrument we use is PSS software, that is a tool. Actually, then a computer or laptop. This and all we can just say in that way. Okay, so this Raimo, he has rightly pointed out the rule of thumb for directing the researcher what to use qualitative or quantitative data. So that you can see. want to confirm or test something, use qualitative research. If one want to understand something, so already we have discussed. And the data collection approaches for qualitative research usually involve, I just compiled from some of the books, direct interaction with individual as one-to-one basis. There is probing. Even in legal, we can say that the psychologists people use to interrogate, to understand. One example here, I can say that qualitative research, you might have seen the movie Pudhiya Paravai, acted by Sivaji Ganesan and Sarada Devi, the exterior movie. And that person is really committed a crime, and because of the situation, but no evidence. And one has to interrogate, and they have to get that to accept on his. But he is a very rich person and very elite, and how they are really creating an environment, so that we can show how the police personnel in that movie, that they could make a situation, he making himself to converse in that way. The legal department they use, actually, that is what that interaction with individual by one-to-one basis, indirect observation, direct observation, all those things are matter. And then group setting, that is also there. Qualitative research data collection methods and time consuming. Many times, even villages, people go and they interview, particularly in agriculture research. The agriculture economists and agriculturalists also, they used to follow this kind of the group setting, this method, data collection method in qualitative research. And time consuming, data is usually collected from a smaller sample. That information is always richer, very rich and valuable information, and many times it may be authentic information. It all depends on the recording by that particular researcher. That must involve the collection of data, involves numbers of, or need to be deduced through a mathematical calculation. So no any sample. It based on the experience of the researcher and the feeling or emotion of the researcher. That always end with a lot of open-ended questionnaire. There are main tools you can see here. The individual interviewers, people use structured interviews, semi-structured interviews, and unstructured interviews. And also data collection, start from data collection to the conclusion, observation technique, personal observation, field observation, interviews, documentation, recording. And then after recording, the data reduction, selection of that appropriate data, which is related to that particular research variable to study, which research variable to study in a depth manner, and which to be just correlated or browsed. So focusing, then simplifying, abstracting, transforming, and then the data display, that matrices, graphs, networks, charts, whatever it may be. Then you can see that conclusion, how they are drawing from, give meanings, confirming, and the verification of whatever they could learn from the research. And data collection tools for interviewers, these are all very basic. You can find from anywhere, that digital camera or camcorder. And then focus groups, that is from individual, then focus group, then observations. So falls under the primary category of data based on the feelings and opinions of the respondents. The research involves asking open-ended questions to a group of individuals they are directly concerned with that particular issue or particular object or particular phenomenon or particular situation, whatever it may be. Maximum range of between 6 to 10 to provide feedback. Observations, structured or unstructured observations. The systematic observation, data, then unstructured. On the other hand, it's conducted in open and free manner. That may also sense, actually. And you can find that fourth one is participatory and action research. These are all qualitative data collection methods, actually. The focus groups and observations, already we have participatory and action research, case studies, anecdotal records. There is also, you can see that literature review of published, there is a review of already, even here I would say that the qualitative research, for example, Karl Marx or Engels, they sat in the library and with their intuition and the situation which prevails by observing, the maximum read the various resources, and he could develop that theory that is very much applicable across the globe in terms of the employer and the employee benefits and all those proceedings. So that is what we can say, the anecdotal record, the descriptive narrative recorded of the specific behavior of interaction occurs that teaches us the plan learning experience, provide information to families, and give insights into identifying possible development areas. So in that way, the anecdotal records, the sociometry that Professor Kannan may discuss and in his technical session, and here you can find that different that's what we have discussed. So in-depth interviews, online forums, groups, online communities, these are all even qualitative research also people. So it's a combination, even I would say, and telephonic interviews, personal interviews, particularly when this kind of COVID-19 situation, use of technology, they become more viable, and people also learned a lot. So even NAC itself, it organized nearly around, I would say that hundreds of them, maybe they would reach that 1,000 programs also, particularly connecting the academics all over the globe by keep on giving the webinars. And then qualitative research, systematic investigation of phenomena. Quantitative methods are presented in numbers and record mathematical personality. I told the main tools for collecting quantitative data. So here you can find inquiry forms, questionnaire. Normally we use structured questionnaires, survey, polling, experiments. There is some spelling mistake that polling, checklist and rating scales, scorecard, then schedule, interview schedules also, tables. So these are all form of that quantitative the data collection, and opinionaire and attitude scales, psychological tests, digital tools. So that scaling and these psychological tests are very comprehensive and complex area, and we need to learn a lot. Then digital tools and emails, and also you can find form blocks like web tools, and even in you can find the research toolkit for the quantitative data, qualitative data. But you have to choose exactly with the individual researchers' experience, and this guides help, and really what method that would enable to really give the actual the accuracy to that findings what you are studying. So various digital tools, Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, Easy Polls, Microsoft Forms, MacP, Survey Sparrow, many online tools are there. Some universities, they do have their own online data collection tools. They developed, and in the research kit they are having. If you visit some Western universities, you can find that. And even I could say that the QS survey or the World Times Higher Education survey, that itself they collect the quantitative data actually, and they may have some qualitative parameters based on that, the ranking, and also they use a lot of digital tools for that. Data analysis tools and techniques for qualitative and quantitative research. So this analysis actually, where the main thing is between this quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative, it has its own scale and frequency, percentage, and also use various statistical tools for differentiating, correlating, and but the qualitative, the observation, the words, phrases, and the attitude, behavior, so that may help to identify a pattern actually, rather than giving on the numbers or the graphs. That will give, even we can say that we use in library information science the data, the conceptual map actually, bib, excel, biblio, shiny, like that, that throw the picture wherever the particular journal or particular author is dominant, then their name should be of very larger one, and others in the same way. Many times you can find across the globe how the COVID-19 or any other prevail. So it will highlight actually, even multimedia highlight, and that you can find. So that and all, we can say that the qualitative techniques for the analysis, in addition to that quantitative mapping of any the data outcome. So the data output, that is a point usually in this qualitative also, but based on not the data, but also on the theory developed or understanding developed, or the research pattern identified by the individual. So one has to really go through that also, just not by mere data, because questionnaire I can lie, or it is all depend on in what way I am serious in filling up the questionnaire and understanding the concept and giving. So that can that limitation can be overcome by using that. So we can see that the different data analysis, diagnostical. So these are all already there, not just to go in detail. And content analysis and document analysis, normally even legal studies and library information studies, we use actually the narrative analysis. And also the triangulation, this is what the combination of all the method to collect the data. And trend analysis, trend report also. Normally these Google Trends or the analytics, particularly the internet digital world, just by identifying the access behavior of individuals, the information use behavior, people reveal that trend that take a lot of money also, you all know very well, and people are really earning because hour to hour they used to predict that trend analysis. And of course there are artificial increasing and of the trend analysis also there. Then corroborative evidences, these are all some of the tools. And the quantitative and the qualitative research, just you can see that to sum up, it is objective, already told, and it is subjective. One small example I would like to say, when we are going for such for a sanctuary or a wildlife habitat, and on the way, if we are really enjoying, so that may be, oh sorry, here it is confusing, and the one is quantitative and other is qualitative, but here typological mistake. So on the way, if you are stopping and if you are observing and if you are having some photographs, or if you are watching birds or animals and you are enjoying that forest environment, so you that and all you can call it as a subjective. And objective is what you could visit in that particular habitat or the sanctuary, within that sanctuary. That you can call it as the objective. This is what you can differentiate. And even one small example, I can say, watching a movie for 2 hours, that is the objective. And for that movie, you are starting and going and traveling and also purchasing ticket and spending your time in interval to have some snacks and to chit chat with your family. So these are all the subjectives in that way. So hard science and soft science, some literature review, test theory, develop theory, and focus is concise and narrow, very complex, multiple line, the qualitative approach, and it is measurable, it is interpretive. And researcher, here there no need of researcher at every time, but here the researcher skill is very much important, and probing skill and understanding the issue, and that is more important here. Researcher is an integral part of the qualitative research completely, and in terms of data collection, context free and context dependent. And hypothesis, they said, for descriptive and qualitative the research questions. And it also count the beans. It provides information which beans are worth counting. Reference management tools, lot of tools are there. Mendeley, reference work, Jitchito, and EndNote. There are two only. There are 500 the management, reference patterns are there. Every journal, Elsevier or Springer or Nature or every journal or American Psychology Association or IEEE, they engineering, medicine, all they use their own methods. But basically, you all know very well. And one is Harvard and other is Oxford. The numbering and date, author date. This is the two basic things that normally numbering that may happen within that page itself, the footnotes, and the author date, they give us a reference, the end of the chapter. So that is what that basic two things, that same Oxford and Harvard styles are interpreted in different way. Maybe MLA or Chicago, or it may be APA, or it may be, you can say that. So these are all online tools and very easy to navigate, and you can go yourself, you can enjoy, and even you can have your research visibility by just having an account on all those these reference management software, because it's not just only organizing your work, and it enables you to have a mentoring and have a research collaboration with each and everyone. And these are all the different styles. Every style has its own form actually, one can use, and for the different subjects people use actually. So I just don't go on to detail. And the how online source, here you can find the in-text citations, same for online sources like book only. Only that URL they put in addition to that inside book citation. Here one example I can. And Oxford system, and footnotes or reference to the bibliography at the end of the paper is exactly the same as reference in the Harvard system. This is that Harvard system. Immediately after the quote or paraphrase, for example, the Peter said, you can find that author date. So, and here just I taken already told in my prelude that how this NAC it categorize the research, early research that manual, if you go to that, you can identify that how they categorize the qualitative, the probing and the qualitative data indicators and the quantitative data. So nowadays, because of this technology and as per the international ranking and accreditation organization also using the same pattern. So more than 2/3 they given importance for the weightage to the quantitative metrics, and qualitative metrics only the 35% here you can find. And I've given here some of the questions also. You can see that in terms of the student satisfaction survey. So that is quantitative metrics. So they given the different information and weightage also they given. And here qualitative metrics, the curricula development you can see. Implementation relevant to the local, national, regional, and global healthcare needs, which are visible in program outcome, course outcome. So one has to interpret and he has to give. But here, the number of programs, how many programs, so data required for last 5 years, like that. So thank you very much for patient listening. And now it's for the people. Sorry, I may have taken a few more minutes extra. Thank you very much for giving an opportunity to address.
Absolute thanks to you, sir, for taking out the time and for explaining it to us really, really well. It was absolutely a very enlightening presentation. I myself had taken a lot of notes with regards to the types of research methods, the tools, techniques, as well as the data collection. So it was overall a very good overview. So thank you so much for taking time and
Thank you.
delivering this to us.
Thank
Moving
you,
a
sir.
little forward, Dr. B.S. Raj, who is currently the advisor academic with the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, India, is also known for teaching in the last 28 years, along with educational administrative experience. He has been a professor in statistics, mathematics, and computer science in the Christ University, Bangalore, Loyola University, Chennai, and so on. He was also a visiting faculty to Sardar Vallabhai Patel National Institute of Textile Management. And if quality is the word, Dr. B.S. Raj is the ideal example. His special interest is training of assessors for quality assurance and quality literacy. I invite you, sir, to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you, Dr. Sonu Mehta, for the superlative words. Professor Dr. Santosh Kumar, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, in absentia, of course, you sent the message. Honorable Registrar in charge, Professor V. Balaji, my esteemed colleague and Dr. M. Kannan, a senior member who's going to enrich. My good friend, Professor Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, librarian, head of the Department of Library Information Science and Controller of Examinations, Bharatdasan University. And the organizing team, the IQAC, as well as the library team, Dr. Bhagavati and the entire team, senior deans, senior professors, students, supporting staff, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I'll just take 2 or 3 minutes, not more than that, so that we say as a teaching faculty, we are very particular about time. So let me say like I'm starting by 10:52 and another 3 minutes may be extended to 5 minutes or 8 minutes. I'll close at any cost by 11 o'clock because we are time conscious people. So my good friend spoke very good about the quantitative research and qualitative research. I cannot talk about research. He's an authority on research. I will tell my experiences alone, 29 to 29 plus years of experience. Okay. Very important is I look at it in two ways. I was in a World Bank project as a consultant for a consultancy project about tea pluckers in Chikmagalur district in Karnataka. It is about the female tea pluckers against the snake bites and the hemoglobin level. It is, you can say, the social sciences are pure sciences. And the data analysis came to me. So very important to cut short the story is the truthfulness of collection data in a research, whether it is IMD, meteorological department, because nature, they talk about nature. So that is how they make a very a cat on the wall stand. Either this side or that side, it depends. Because it's nature. So very important slide what I was trying to learn from Professor Raghavan. He put on the quantitative hard science and soft science, behavioral axis also, and behavioral pattern. Like COVID, we talk about, we pray God this new coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19. Given the situation. So how do you know in a LKG or a MSc plant physiology or your LLM class, people are listening? Sonu said, everybody switch off low bandwidth, high bandwidth, all your video. I have a typical style of everybody switch on the video, switch on the audio. At least one person speaks, it should not be disturbance. Audio should be off. This is, we may say it is like LKG class, no problem. Unless you say face to face, you will not be able to see what is the point in just talking to a mic or a LED bulb or a laptop or whatever the studio. Technology helps. Like he put all the technology of collection data, interview method, recorders, so many things he has put. Technology helps, but face to face is very important. Okay, nobody says face to face can overcome artificial intelligence. All the techniques which people are developing across the globe is good. Now coming to the qualitative and quantitative research. So first I wanted to impress upon you the truthfulness of the data. Because somebody has given a project, external project, research project or something, we don't manipulate the data. Missing values are different. Statistical analysis, we talk about the missing values. I see a lot of first year students, a good audience, 295. I do not know how many people are on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, including our Cisco WebEx. It's fluctuating from 297, 298 to 220 and 89. I'm continuously watching how many people are leaving, how many people are coming inside. This is one kind of research. It's an observation. I will not give much emphasis. Common sense is very important for a student, first year student or a 40-year-old research scholar or a manuscript bisect பண்ணிட்டு பண்ற ஒரு research scholar இருந்தாலும் சரி. Common sense, which is very, very uncommon across people. Whether it is a police department, whether it is even honorable judges, where they give judgments, they weigh more than the research, the common sense in which they apply, the humanistic approach which they take on judgments, including the full bench Honorable Supreme Court of India judgments. This is where we have to weigh the pros and cons. So research helps you, point number one. So I'm not contradicting my earlier statement. Research helps you. ஒரு National Highways Authority of India Limited ஒரு turning வருது, ஸ்பீட் பிரேக்கர் இருக்கலாமா வேண்டாமா, எத்தனை ஆக்சிடென்ட் நடக்குதாங்க, என்னென்ன கார் ஆக்சிடென்ட், I-20, I-10, Luna or a TVS Champ, and whether it's a pillion rider with helmet, pillion rider without helmet, how many fatalities happens. I can give you a lot of science examples. I'm a science man turned into a social scientist. Or in a child birth, which happens in a kosher hospital, in Triplicane, in a government hospital. Your biostatistics or biomedical research, or any statistics are number game. I'm talking about quantitative research. Simple. So truthfulness, honesty, and arriving appropriate tools. Sun rises in the east. Or questionnaire, or a questionnaire. Yar, yende ethno group any ethno group you give, it will be correct. Then why you want that particular question? Why you want to, what you're going to again and again is equal to mc square. Again you want to question Einstein, or a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Nothing wrong in reiterating and proving the research and again. So clear focus and understanding of what is your problem. People don't have a problem because they don't have information. They don't have data. First, you must have information, data, then only you can have a problem. Then only you can have a research question. People understanding itself is a difficult terrain. So when you wanted to do a research on the accessibility of low bandwidth or a high bandwidth of the people during COVID situation, of the students having access and their eye having problem, irritation, or the ophthalmology or an English literature or a cross-disciplinary sociology, SC, ST, OBC or a minority group or a people who are ஒரு ட்ரைபல் குரூப்ல வந்து அவங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கவே மாட்டேது அசாம்லன்னு சொல்லிட்டு பசங்க எல்லாம் மரத்து மேல ஏறுறாங்க. நியூஸ் பேப்பர் பார்த்திருப்பீங்க. So they are trying to get the அப்ப வந்து இன்னைக்கு இந்திய நியூஸ் பேப்பர்ல அடுத்த நியூஸ் வந்திருக்கு. 4வது வயசு பையன் 6th standard children, they committed suicide because they didn't get the mobile. The mother did not give or father did not give because they were playing games or whatever reason. So given the situation, research will help you, either social sciences, either psychological or clinical psychology. We want to do counseling. You need data, you need interview, you need consolidation, you need simple common sense to analyze the data. Apramela number T test, TS test, statistical analysis, all the computer, all hyphen things you can put it. Basic common sense of a boy or a girl, first year or MPhil, MPhil, PhD, DSc, DLit, whatever the hyphen research scholar. Understanding, comprehension, very important is your comprehension. How you understand this research? How do you understand this problem? Very important. When you talk about all people, just say, otherwise it is easy. It is easy to find no people for the publications and research, index, I index. People keep on publishing. I'm not criticizing. We should publish. I think it's how people will know. People will know that you have done that research. So very important is the research, whatever qualitative, quantitative, pragmatic approach, any type of research you do, the outcome should help a common man. IIT Kharagpur, IIT Kanpur வந்து the third wave பத்தி predict பண்ணிருக்காங்க. ஒரு 3 வாரத்துக்கு முன்னாடி வந்திருக்குது. And the last 2-3 days before, it is covered in Hindu also about the third wave. The AIMS director, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, has told about the children and about the third wave. So people are predicting about the third wave. How they predict, what models they use. Fine, it's a high funda research, medical research or a common research. What does a lay person understands about it? Common man. Sadharana Manusha, common man, whether what he understands. This is where the reachability of the research, outcome-based research. We need theoretical research. We know formula research. We need pure science research, pure mathematical research. But it should help a common man on understanding. வானிலை அறிக்கையா இருந்தாலும் சரி, அது என்ன ஒரு டைகரை பத்தி ஒரு ஃபாரஸ்ட் ஆபீஷியல் பண்ற ரிசர்ச்சா இருந்தாலும் சரி, சார் வந்து ஒரு புதிய பறவையை பத்தி ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொன்னாரு. To confess from his own the truth, the police department crime scene. We watch enough of movies of Tamil and English movies. அந்த உண்மை, அந்த ட்ரூத், அந்த உண்மையை வெளியே வரணும், அவன் வாயிலே வெளில வரணும். This is where research helps you. This is where your technological helps you. And your entire, your setup, your team, your coherence of the team, you gel with the team without any ego, without any competition. நான் தான் பெரியவன், நீ தான் பெரியவன், இல்ல அந்த இது இல்லாம இல்ல, அவனை அழுத்தி இவன் மேல வரணும். Not like the Indian crabs. So with this few words, I wanted to, dear children, people are watching on quantitative research and qualitative research, whether you use statistical package on social sciences, SAS, R statistics, any statistics you use. Control C, Control V, bibliography, references. He has talked about IEEE, he talked about CS, he talked about Chicago, he talked about MLA, all the beautiful slides my friend has put. You refer it, you publish papers. Common manக்கு என்னங்க யூஸ் அந்த ஒரு பேப்பர்னால? So very important, the common man. அதை வந்து நம்ம நியூஸ் பேப்பர் ஆர்டிக்கல் எழுத முடியுதா? காமன் மேனுக்கு ஏதாவது நம்மளால சொல்ல முடியுதா? எல்லாமே காமன் மேனுக்கு சொல்லணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லைன்னு வாங்க. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், எத்தனை ஆட்டோபாமிக் ரிசர்ச் நடக்குது டிஃபென்ஸ்ல, DRDOல, அதெல்லாம் சொல்லணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை. It is high level classified research, atomic research. So it is classified research. They need not publish. So we also understand, as children who are doing research, you should understand whether it's English literature. I know a very famous feminist theorist, Margaret Atwood, English literature Canadian feminist. So she talks about in all her novels about female bad behavior. Some of the novels on female, I'm not taking a male chauvinistic approach. Please forgive me if it is. That is about Margaret Atwood. அதை வச்சு சில பேர் ரிசர்ச் பண்றாங்க. ஜெயில போயிட்டு எந்தெந்த ஃபீமேல் எம்ப்ளாயிஸ், ஃபீமேல் இன்மேட்ஸ்ல எதனால இந்த பிஹேவியரல் பேட்டர்ன், எதனால நீங்க ஜெயிலுக்கு வந்தீங்க, எதனால இது நடந்தது அப்படின்னு நிறைய பேர் ரிசர்ச் பண்றாங்க. So whether it is social science research or a pure science research, whether it's a hard science or soft science, research should help you for the further development of the human race, of the humankind. With these few words, I thank the organizers, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar, and our senior colleague, Professor V. Balaji, our senior colleague, Dr. M. Kannan, and my good friend, Professor S. Srinivasa Raghavan. And thank you, Dr. Bhagavati, for inviting me. So
Thank
3
you, sir.
points to sum it up I talked about. The basic points, the underlying bottom line is truthfulness in our research. Whether it's a small internship, summer school, or a project work, or a first year project, or a 12th standard project, or a UKG project. அம்மா அப்பா தான் பண்றாங்க, பிள்ளைங்க பண்றது இல்ல, அம்மா அப்பா ஃபெசிலிட்டேட் பண்ணணும். So any research, the research bent of mind, different way of looking at it. E is equal to mc square, c square m. Yeah, E is equal to mc square, c square again. வித்தியாசம்? A plus b whole square. The fundamentals of a square plus b whole square. Why it is not the other way around? Like that, a square plus b square plus 2ab, a square plus b square plus 2ab, 2ab plus b square plus a square. மாற்றுக்கண் வேற கண்ணோட்டத்துல பார்க்கிறது தான் நம்மளுடைய ரிசர்ச்சோட very important on qualitative research. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That was very, very refreshing and thought-provoking, sir. I think one thing that we all can take away is that life skills are more important than doing the research itself. Application of mind wherever we go. We will ensure that we try to reflect more on ourselves and take this in our day-to-day life, sir. Thank you so much for giving us that very good note. So moving ahead, I would like to call upon Dr. A. Bhagwati, who's completed her PhD in Library and Information Science from University of Madras in the year 1999. She's been working for more than 15 years as an experienced library professional. She worked in different institutions and has more than 80 publications under her name, with more than 25 special lectures in amongst various universities. Her articles have been awarded at different points. One such article was awarded the best at International Conference in the National Law University, Delhi, and DRTC, Bangalore. Ma'am has been instrumental for the initiation of this workshop, and if today we're all connected here, it's because of ma'am. I invite Dr. A. Bhagwati, University Assistant Librarian, Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sonu. Good morning, everyone. No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. It's given me a great privilege and an immense pleasure to extend a vote of thanks to all those who have been contributing and going to contribute in one way or the other to make this 3 days online national workshop on quantitative and qualitative techniques for social science research to become a great success. Honorable Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar, sir, Vice Chancellor, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai. Respected Professor Dr. V. Balaji, sir, Registrar, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai. Respected Professor Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, sir, Controller of Examination, Professor and Head, Department of Library and Information Science, Bharathidasan University, Trichy. Respected Dr. Ponmuriraj sir, Advisor, Academic, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Bengaluru, Karnataka. Respected Dr. M. Kannan sir, Director, Research, Chellamuthu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation, Madurai, and former Principal, Madurai Institute of Social Sciences, Madurai. Respected Course Director, Dr. S.K. Ashok sir, Librarian, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai. And the respective Director of UG, Director of PG, and Director of Research, Publication and Academic Affairs, all HODs, faculty members, participants, and my dear students. Even though due to unavoidable circumstances, our Honorable Vice Chancellor could not be present in this inaugural function, I, on the behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University Central Library, take the honor of thanking our Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, respected Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar, sir. Sir, you are the one who has been the driving force behind this whole process, and we are immensely blessed to work under your leadership. We would like to give a very hearty vote of thanks for your unstinted support and guidance extended to all of us in this challenging pandemic period. Thank you, sir. I extend my sincere thanks to our respected registrar, Professor Dr. V. Balaji, sir, for gracing the inaugural function. I would like to thank our registrar, sir, who, in spite of his extremely busy schedule, took time and ensured the smooth running of this workshop. Positive thinking is more than just a tagline. It changes the way we behave. And I finally believe that when I am positive, it not only makes me better, but it also makes those around me better by Harvey Mackay. Sir, you are polite like that. Sir, your politeness, patience, energy, and the smile on your face has always given us the positive vibe and has been a driving force to move forward and to make the event a great success. Then I would like to thank our speaker, respected Professor Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, sir, Controller of Examination, Head of the Department of Library and Information Science, Bharatdasan University, Trichy, who is an encyclopedia of library science. வினைக்குரிமை நாடிய பின்றை அவனை அதற்குரியனாகச் செயல். இவ்வினைக்கு இவன் தகுதியானவன் என்பதை நன்கு ஆராய்ந்த பின்னர் அவனை அவ்வினை செய்வதற்கு உரியவனாக பண்ணுக. Like that, he easily evaluates the skill sets of the people quickly and assigns them the responsibility accordingly. So we are honored to listen to your scintillating special address. I, on behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University and the entire team of the organizers of this workshop, convey our deep regards and extend our sincere thanks to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Next, I extended my thanks to respected Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, sir, Advisor, Academic National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Bangalore. Sir, the combination of your intellect and expressions of Navarism on your presentation has always been your identity. The positive thinkers see the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. Accordingly, sir, you are a proactive person who always tries to achieve where others think it is impossible. It was an excellent presentation. We are all inspired by your words, sir. I, on the behalf of Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University and the entire team of the organizers of this workshop, extend our sincere thanks to you, sir. I would like to thank our resource persons, respected Dr. M. Kannan, sir, Director Research, Chellamuthu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation, Madurai, and former Principal, Madurai Institute of Social Science, Madurai. And respected Professor Dr. A. Duraiswamy, sir, Professor and Associate Dean, College of Science and Humanities, SRM University, Chennai, who have accepted our request and taken time out of their very important and busy schedules to contribute to this workshop as a resource persons and agreed to share us their vast knowledge and experience. I, on the behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University and the entire team of the organizers of this workshop, convey our deep regards and my sincere thanks to all of you, sir. I would like to express my gratitude to our workshop director, Dr. S.K. Ashok sir, for being with the team and giving the liberty to organize this workshop successfully. He was kind enough to bear with us and understand our points of views and help to take the decisions with the receptive attitude. Thank you, sir. I further thank Ms. S. Sonu Mehta, final year student, BA LLB Honors, SOIL, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, for being part of the workshop team as a moderator to run this workshop smoothly. Thank you, ma'am. I also wish to thank Mr. Darwin, Technical Assistant, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, for his technical support to run this program successfully. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the participants for their interest to participate in this workshop and to make this workshop a great success. This workshop is meant to disseminate the knowledge in the areas of resource process in social science, hypothesis theory, and introduction to SPSS, etc. I'm sure that all the participants of this workshop will be benefited. Once again, I would like to say that we all are most grateful to all the speakers on this program. We thank you for being with us this morning. It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for getting us through and bringing us here. Now we officially come to the end of our inaugural ceremony. And before we begin with our workshop, I would like to introduce our first resource person. Well, I would fail in my duty if I don't talk about growth. In the words of Napoleon Hill, growth comes through continuous efforts. And who adds these efforts to research fraternity is Dr. M. Kannan. Dr. M. Kannan, Assistant State Nodal Officer, TN Police Wellbeing, Director of Research, MSCI MHR. Dr. Kannan is known for his unconventional techniques of teaching and his radical approach that stirs the development of research fraternity. And it's an absolute honor for each of us who are present here today to hear from you, sir. And without much ado, I would like to pave way for you to take over and to enlighten this inquisitive gathering.
I'm trying to share my screen.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sure, sir.
It's not visible. Mr. Darwin is there?
Yeah, I will contact. I will inform you.
Sir, you shared your screen, sir. Please share the PPT, sir.
Yeah. It's my PPT. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Is it visible? But I'm not able
visible.
to see. I'm not able to see the other persons. Just I could see only my slides. Is it okay for you all?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Um, uh, Thank you very much. I'm really honored to associate myself with Dr. Ambedkar Law University through this 3-day online national workshop on quantitative and qualitative techniques for social science research. I really thank the registrar in charge who has taken a lot of efforts along with his team members. In spite of our Vice Chancellor is not present, he has really motivated all of us to be in line with the particular research work. Uh, I thank our Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor N.S. Santosh Kumar ji, in absence, yeah. And I also like to thank my dear brother, Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, Controller of Examination, Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirappalli. Then a person who spoke very nicely, inspiring with all emotions. I could see his face. Dr. Podmudi Raj, advisor, NAC, Bangalore. Then, of course, the organizer, Dr. Bhagavati, and the moderator, technical advisor, and all other persons who are directly or indirectly involved in that. I must really thank. Above all the participants, I would consider they are all heterogeneous population. Nevertheless, I could see in the comments box, they are very, very inquisitive to know a lot of things. Am I audible, by the way?
Yeah, audible, sir.
Thank you. Yes, I think it is a good start. I must thank COVID situation also, because had it not been a COVID, I would not have attended this program. Because now I could see a lot of people have registered, and you see, they are going to listen to us with regard to quantitative and qualitative research. The topic, the first session I was given, research process in social sciences. Okay. By the way, I must also thank my co-friend, Dr. A. Durai Swami, who is going to take over my sessions after my sessions. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Durai Swami. I don't know whether you are listening to me or in the meeting. Nevertheless, I like to record my sense of appreciation to you all. Fine. Um, First, let me start with the simplest definition. Because it is a heterogeneous group, I thought let me start from the base rudimentary facts, then I can build castles. The Advanced Learner's Dictionary of Current English says a careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. Underline careful investigation. It is not just like that. It is a very careful investigation, especially through search for new facts. Okay, so that is the first keyword that we have to learn with regard to research. Clifford Woody, he says, research comprises defining and redefining problems. Just see the comma, then you'll understand the functions. The first one is we are going to define and redefine the problems whenever we see. First one. Second one is we are going to formulate a hypothesis, which is also known as a suggested solutions. Hypothesis, I'll explain in due course. The tentative statement. We are going to formulate and we are going to suggest solutions. The next one is collecting, organizing, and evaluating the information known as data. After collecting, organizing, and evaluating, we are going to make some decisions. And that decisions will be based on deductions and reaching conclusions. Okay? And at last, carefully testing the conclusions. Okay, before starting the research work, we would have had some assumptions. We would like to test very carefully the assumptions or conclusions to determine whether or not they fit the formulating hypothesis. That's a very important keyword. We want to determine whether or not they fit in the formulating hypothesis. Okay. The next one, if you say all these things, the last one, I forgot about it. The last definition that I want to tell you is that it's a very systematic investigation to find answer to a problem. This is a very simplest definition, very systematic investigation. We have to start with some observation, but when you want to complete your research work, it should be a highly systematic investigation. There should not be any loose talk in that. It should be highly systematic, scientific, to get the answers for a problem. Well, the meaning for the research. Before reading the meaning for the research, I would say, when you want to find new things or verify the world of facts, you do research. These are the two important things. I want to find new things, or I want to verify the world facts which have been formulated, found out by somebody. So these are the two important things, and that is the meaning of research. It refers to the systematic method consisting of articulating the problem, formulating a hypothesis, collecting the facts or data, analyzing the facts, and reaching certain conclusions, either in the form of solutions or towards a concerned problem or in certain generalization for some theoretical formulation. So the ultimate goal of doing research is, at the end of it, we have to formulate certain theory based on our observation, fact finding, analyzing, etc. So that is the meaning for the term research. Well, as I told you, we are having two important objectives. Number one, to find out new things or to verify the old facts. Formerly, there are four primary objectives of doing research. And later on, these four objectives are called as research designs. So these are the basic primary objectives. Number one, to gain familiarity with the phenomenon or to achieve new insights into it. Okay. So we wanted to gain some familiarity, and that is known as exploratory research design or explorative studies or formulative studies. We are going to explore, and the end of it, we are going to formulate it. That's one. The second one is after exploring or formulating, we wanted to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual or a situation or a group of studies, which is known as description. After exploration, I'm going to take those special characters and I'm going to describe how it is functioning. And third one is after describing, that is, after exploring, formulating, describing, we are going to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else, which is known as diagnostic research. Meaning, we like to see the cause and effect relationship. Is it because of this? We want to study that. That is known as diagnostic research objective. And finally, to test the hypothesis of a causal relationship, not casual. It is a causal relationship between variables. What is variable? I'll tell you later. Such studies are known as hypothesis testing. In advanced language, it is known as experiment research design. So these are all the primary objectives of our research. I hope I'm making myself clear. I never ask in my class whether my students or friends are following or not. I'll never ask a question. Do you understand? Do you follow? No. I'll simply put it this way. Am I making myself clear to you? Because I only know in behavioral modification techniques, I can change my behavior. I cannot change the behavior of others. So my request is, or rather my question is, am I making myself clear so far? If not, don't worry. This is all basic things. Then I'll slowly take you to the research process. Friends, when you say research, you have to do it in the science. Basically, there are three types of sciences. These are all our own convenient classification. There is no hard and fast rule. The first and foremost science is called natural science, otherwise known as physical science or known as positive science. The prime motive for natural science or positive science is they'll try to study the facts as they are. அதை அப்படியே படிக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நினைச்சா then it is called natural science. Example is as our friend NAC advisor Ponmudi Raj has given a lot of examples, a plus b whole square. I still remember when I was doing my 10th standard, we had a paper called algebra, and the sir gave me a formula: a plus b whole square equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Next day, he asked me, what is a plus b whole square? I said, a square plus b square plus 2ab. No, he said, because they have a set direction, set formula, and it has to be studied as they are. Though it gives the same meaning, he says, no, 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 it should be a square plus 2ab plus b square. அப்படித்தான் இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னார். I still remember in chemistry class, I learned um, um, P1 V1 by T1 equal to P2 V2 by T2. That is, pressure is directly proportional to volume, and pressure and volumes are inversely proportional to temperature. And it is same as P1 V1 by T1 equal to P and Vn by Tn, all this formula. Then E is equal to mc square. These are called, they study the facts as they are called positive science. Okay. The second one is social science or normative science, where they study the behavior of human being. If I study the behavior of human being over a space, it's called geography. If I study the abnormal behavior, it is known as psychology. If you study the behavior in terms of money, either it could be economics or commerce. If I study the behavior in terms of relationship, it is sociology. So when I study the behavior of human being, it is called social science. Now, what is applied science? Friends, a concept of positive science is merged with social science. It is called applied science. Now, I can take more number of hours with regard to these sciences, But I want to give a very important note on these different types of sciences, because we are going to do research in social sciences or in applied sciences. We are not a student of physics, mathematics. We are not going to do research in the field of natural science. So when we say that positive science, the very important fact is that there exists a clear-cut concept. There exists a clear-cut concept. What do you mean by a concept? I'll show in the next slide. Nevertheless, I'll tell you right now. Concept meaning everybody understands the way in which others have understood. ஒன்றை ஒன்றாக எல்லோருமே பார்த்தால் அதுதான் கான்செப்ட்னு பேரு. யாராவது ஒருத்தர் வந்து பேனாவை பார்த்துட்டு இது பேனா அப்படின்னு சொல்லாம மார்க்கர் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாருனாங்க, அல்லது யாராவது ஒரு ரெட் கலர் ஆப்ஜெக்ட வந்துட்டு ப்ளூ கலர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி சொன்னாருன்னா, the person has not understood the concept. Supposing a person is saying that after seeing a red color, he says blue color அப்படின்னா, number one, he has not understood what is the concept of red color. Number two, the blue color. He may have some problem in the eyes, or he may have some problem in his cognition. மூளையில ஏதோ கோளாறு போல இருக்கு அப்படின்னு நம்ம நினைக்கலாம். So the concept means everybody understands the way in which others have understood. All things are in positive science, everything is very clearly defined. அதனாலதான் 1 + 1 = என்னன்னு சொல்லி கேட்டா all of you will agree that it is 2. But my dear friends, it need not be necessarily true in social sciences or normative sciences. If you are talking to a student of management, he will say 1 + 1 may be 2, may be equivalent to 2 theoretically, but in management it is not so. He may argue with us saying that if A and B are highly motivated, and if A could lift 20 kgs and B could lift 10 kgs, when they join together, they can lift more than 20 + 10, 30 kgs. So in that occasion, 1 + 1 is greater than 2. If they are not having good relationship, தமிழ்ல சொல்லும்ல ரெண்டு பேருக்கும் ஒரு 7.5 பிடிச்சிருக்கு அப்படின்னா, then they will lift less than 30 kgs. That is 1 + 1 is less than 2. So we studied the behavior. அப்ப behavior பார்க்கும்போது there is a concept வந்து positive scienceல இருக்கு. There is no concept in social sciences. Whatever the concept we say in natural science, in social sciences, we don't call them as concept. Rather, we would call them as constructs, meaning it is not very clearly defined like how it is defined in the field of positive science. In the difference of தயவுசெய்து நீங்க புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். Whatever, according to me, if you ask me personally, I would say whatever the kind of research is being done in positive science, I would say they know the results. It is a kind of experiments. But whatever the studies that we are doing in normative science or social sciences, we do not have the answer. இதுதான் பதில், இதுதான் காரணம் என்று சொல்ல முடியாது. There is a lot of scope for doing research in the field of normative science. Don't ever think that because I belong to normative science, I say like that. No, it is obvious, rather obviously obvious to say that in normative science, we cannot say this is the finding. There is a lot of scope for further research. And the last one is applied science, meaning we have applied economics, applied geography, applied psychology. A concept of positive science is merged with the social science, and it is known as applied science. Again, I'm telling you, I hope I am making myself clear. Okay? Well, what are the different types of research? Based on our convenience, we are trying to classify the types of research like pure research and applied research based on application. When I am talking about in terms of application, I say pure research and applied research. Pure research are natural science research. Applied research are different. Okay. If I talk about types of research based on objectives, I would say exploratory, descriptive, correlational, and explanatory. I think first three things we have already seen. Exploratory, wherein the researcher is not having proper ideas. Okay, he doesn't know anything about it. Now, descriptive means he has little knowledge and he wants to describe. And correlation is he's trying to find out the cause and effect relationship. And finally, explanatory is a combination of all. And if the types of research could be based on inquiry, like whether it is a qualitative or quantitative, that's what our conference is talking about. Are you going to collect qualitative information? Okay? Or you have some quantitative information. What is qualitative, quantitative? We shall explain in detail in further slides. This point I've already explained to you, ladies and gentlemen. A concept is one everybody understands the way in which others have understood. There is the definition. That is only the definition. Example, pen, white color, fan, rupees, etc. That means everybody understands the same manner. There is no second thought about it. Whereas a construct in social sciences would be there is no the standard proper definition, and they are called as they are defined operationally depending upon the convenience or experience of the researcher. It's being defined operationally. Example, beauty, job satisfaction, emotional intelligence, psychological well-being, quality of life, etc. What is beauty for me need not be beauty for you. Even at the end of my life, I would say my son, daughter, or I'm sorry, my daughter or my wife is beautiful. But you may say, what are இவ்வளவு வயசானவங்களை போய் நீ பியூட்டிஃபுல் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கீங்களேன்னு சொல்லி, that is your perception. But my perception is different, and it is called a construct, which cannot be defined technically. Well, I'd like to say a few basic things about the types of variables. What do you mean by variable? Friends, in natural science, we have a concept, and therefore, quite often we use a word called parameters or indicators. Okay, height is a parameter, weight is a parameter, or like what is your level of health is all indicators. The concepts are measured, or all the items, rather I would say, all the factors of positive signs are measured with the help of indicators and parameters, whereas on the other hand, the factors of social sciences are measured with the help of a term called variable. Okay, variable is one which varies from person to person, place to place, time to time. Okay, I will give some example for a variable. Height is a variable. Number of cards that you have got is a variable. Number of papers in your subject is a variable. Your height is a variable. Your weight is a variable. The money that you have got in your pocket is a variable. Okay? So they are called quantitative variable. On the other hand, I would like to say my gender, my religion, my caste, my education level, these are called qualitative variables. Tamil sollapona, when you are trying to talk about the gunakangal, the characteristics, if you want to study, it is called a qualitative variable. Other characteristics in terms of numbers, it is called a quantitative variable. A quantitative number, qualitative character, gunakangal. Okay, now remember, without knowing variables, you cannot do research. The basic fundamental. If you do not know anything about variable, you cannot conduct your research study in the field of social sciences. Okay. Now, அடுத்த basic fundamental lesson. There are 4 levels of measurement. If you don't understand, you cannot not only do research, you cannot formulate hypothesis. அல்லது நாளைக்கு நம்ம பேசக்கூடிய டாக்டர் துரைசாமி என்னோட ஃப்ரெண்ட் இருக்காங்க, அவர் சொல்ற ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்கல் டெக்னிக்ஸ் எல்லாமே above your ஹெட்டா போயிட்டே இருக்கும், ஒண்ணுமே செய்ய முடியாது. So there are 4 levels of measurement that you have to understand. First one is the qualitative variables, nominal, ordinal. What do you mean by nominal? The nominal variable can only be categorized. Categorization மாத்திரம் தான் பண்ண முடியும். Example, gender, male, female, இவ்வளவுதான் பண்ண முடியும். மேக்சிமம் இன்னொன்று என்ன சேர்க்கலாம், டிரான்ஸ்ஜெண்டர் சேர்க்கலாம். மேல் ஃபீமேல் டிரான்ஸ்ஜெண்டர் அப்படின்னு ஒரு கேட்டகரைசேஷன் இருந்துச்சுன்னா தட் இஸ் கால்ட் நாமினல் வேரியபிள். தயவுசெய்து நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க. those who are listening to me, please understand, make a note of it. நாமினல்னா கேட்டகரைசேஷன் மாத்திரம் தான் இருக்கும். பட் தே ஆர் கிவிங் ஒன் மோர் கண்டிஷன் ஆர் ஒன் மோர் சஜஷன். அது என்ன சொல்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, that nominal categorization should be exclusive and exhaustive. Is a keyword. They should be exclusive and exhaustive. Exclusive என்ன அர்த்தம், ஒண்ணுக்கு ஒன்று டிஃப்ரெண்டா இருக்கணும். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் மேல்னா எம், ஃபீமேல்னா எஃப், ரொம்ப டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் இருக்கும். எஸ்சி எஸ்டி நான் ரெண்டுக்குமே எஸ்சி எஸ்ன்னு வச்சிருக்கேன், நான் வைக்கக்கூடாது. ஸோ இட் இஸ் நாட் செப்பரேட்டட், கன்ஃபியூஷன்ஸ் வரும். அதனால எக்ஸ்க்ளூசிவா இருக்கணும், ஒன்னு டிஃப்ரெண்டா இருக்கணும், எக்ஸாஸ்டிவா இருக்கணும், அதுக்கு மேல வேற எந்த இதுமே இருக்கக்கூடாது. செகண்ட் ஒன் இஸ் கால்ட் ஆர்டினல். ஆர்டினல் இஸ் அ பெட்டர் ஃபார்ம் ஆஃப் நாமினல். எப்படி அப்படின்னா, there will be categorization, but those categories are arranged in an order. ஒரு ஆர்டர்ல இருக்கும். Okay, first year, second year, third year. First year, second year, third year is a categories, and these categories are arranged in order. Okay, economically weaker section. Okay, economically weaker section, a low income group, middle income group, high income group. So the categorization ஒரே மாடல் தான் இருக்கணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை. It may be ascending order or it may be descending order. So ordinal variable is like order. It should be some order. There should be categories. Okay, so these are all the two important qualitative way of measuring. Remember, this is very, very important. Nominal, ordinal. The next one is called quantitative variable. Interval and ratio அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. Number one, quantitative variable is a variable which is represented or presented in the form of numbers. They are numerically expressed. ஆனா interval variable வந்து the absolute zero or the real zero இருக்காது. There won't be any absolute zero or real zero. Whereas ratio variable, it is also expressed numerically or in terms of numbers, but the presence of real zero, absolute zero இருக்கும். First, let me give an example of a ratio variable which can learn. Right? First, let me give an example for ratio variable. Well, in the morning, our registrar spoke in the inaugural function. Our registrar, Honorable Professor Balaji sir, spoke. Let us assume that he has a 500 rupee note on his pocket. Okay? But next to registrar, my friend, my brother Srinivasa Raghavan spoke. அவர் பையன் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எப்பொழுதுமே கண்டிப்பா 2000 rupees நோட் எப்பொழுதுமே நிறைய வச்சிருப்பாரு. Okay, Srinivasa Raghavan is having 2000 rupees னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. Who is having more? கண்டிப்பா Raghavan sir is having more. ஏன்னா 500 is better than 2000. If you come and check my pocket, I swear, I mean it, I don't have money because I'm a retired person. I am a retired person. I don't have money in my pocket. Even I can switch on my video, I can show my pocket, my friends. I don't have money, but then I can say I have zero money on me. Zero is there and zero has got a value. I can say that Srinivasa Raghavan is having four times more than what our registrar sir is having. Okay, so when you say in terms of many folds, it is called a ratio variable, because in ratio variable the real zero is present. For example, I'm speaking from Madurai and you are all sitting in Chennai. If I travel from Madurai to Chennai, I can say that I have traveled 400 kilometers. But our Bhagavati madam has not traveled. It means that she has traveled 0 kilometers. Okay, the zero is there and zero has got a value. It is called ratio variable. Friends, it is just opposite. It's called interval variable, where it will be represented in terms of numbers. Nevertheless, there won't be any real zero. I'll give an example. I have 25 statements or sentences which will explain about your level of anxiety or level of neuroticism. எவ்வளவு தூரத்துக்கு நீங்க பரபரப்பா இருக்கிறீங்க, படபடப்பா இருக்கிறீங்க, காலைல வெண்ணி தண்ணி ஊத்திக்கிட்ட மாதிரி இருக்கிறீங்கன்னு கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு டூல் இருக்கு. That is called neuroticism scale or an anxiety scale னு பேரு. What you have to do is 25 statements, say yes or no இருக்கும், நீங்க fill up பண்ணிட்டே வரணும். At the end of it, they'll say, just count how many yes you have given. எத்தனை yes சொல்லியிருக்கீங்கன்னு பார்க்கணும். பார்த்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் அவங்க சொல்லுவாங்க, ஓகே 25ல வந்து நான் வந்து 12 yes சொல்லியிருக்கேன். That is your mark. Okay, now they'll give an explanation. Supposing your score வந்து எப்படி இருக்கும், 0ல இருந்து 25 marks இருக்கும். 0ல இருந்து 25 marks இருக்கும். And they'll say 0ல இருந்து 4 இருந்துச்சு அப்படின்னா, between 0 and 4, if your mark is between 0 and 4, you don't have any anxiety. You are a stable-minded person. That's the meaning of it. Supposing your score is between 5 and 13, you have the tendency to become more anxious or neurotic. On the other hand, if your mark is between, or your score is between 14 and 25, then you are a neurotic, you are very, very anxious. Supposing your mark is, say for example, 15, you are anxiety person or neurotic. Supposing your mark is 10, you are having tendency to become neurotic. What is your comment if I say my mark is 2? You say I am a stable. What is your comment if my mark is 3? You would say stable. அப்ப 0 இருந்தாலும் 1 இருந்தாலும் 2 இருந்தாலும் 3 இருந்தாலும் 4 இருந்தாலுமே you are going to say that I am a stable minded, which means mathematically you are assuming that 0 equal to 1 equal to 2 equal to 3 equal to 4, which is not so in mathematics. Therefore 0 is there, but the 0 is not having any value. It is called interval variable. Friends, in social sciences, whenever we are trying to measure, quantify any construct like beauty, psychological well-being, emotional intelligence, anxiety, depression, etc., etc., we have interval value only. It may be represented in terms of numbers. Nevertheless, it is not a real 0. Okay, fine. Friends, one more important thing. All the variables, parameters in positive science or natural science, they are in ratio level. At the most, in social sciences, we can have interval level. Okay. நான் ஏன் இவ்வளவு தூரம் இதை பேசுறேன் அப்படின்னா, NOIR, nominal ordinal interval ratio. If you can understand this, then selection of statistical techniques, you need not depend upon any statistician. Formulation of hypothesis, you need not discuss with your guide. You yourself can formulate a hypothesis. You yourself can select the appropriate statistical techniques, and you can select SPSS software and you can analyze, find results. So, friends, there are qualitative, nominal, ordinal. There are quantitative, interval ratio. These are called nominal, ordinal, interval ratio are called the 4 levels of measurement. Okay, 4 levels of measurement. When you talk about the qualitative and quantitative, there could be some other types of variables. If you are aware of it, then it will be very easy for you to deal with the SPSS software and statistical techniques like independent variable, dependent variable, intervening variable, extraneous variable. I'll say few things about, or I'll just introduce a few variables like independent variable. Independent variable na enna artham, adu thaniya sandoshama irukum. Different variable என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, மற்ற வேரியபிளை சார்ந்து இருக்கும். டிபெண்டன்ட்னா சார்ந்து இருக்கும். For example, a person or student is getting marks in the examination is a dependent variable. எப்படி? It is depend upon, that is marks or performance is based on the number of hours of study. அது மாத்திரம் இல்ல, the way in which he has understood the subject matter, the type of question. கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர் ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா இருந்துச்சு அப்படின்னா ரொம்ப ஜாலியா இருக்கும். இப்பெல்லாம் நிறைய பேர் நிறைய மார்க் வாங்குறாங்க ஆன்லைன்ல. ஏன்னா ஆன்லைன்ல ஸ்கிரீன்ல பார்த்துட்டு பக்கத்துல உட்காந்து ஓப்பன் புக் எக்ஸாம் மாதிரி எழுதிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ the number of the type of questions that they have got, okay, the liking and disliking of the teacher எவ்வளவு தூரத்துக்கு இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கிறாங்க. These are called independent variables. Per se, they don't have any association, but they together join together and they'll try to influence the dependent variable. An intervening variable என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா partial effect கொடுக்கிறது intervening variable சொல்லுவாங்க. In addition to that, we have predictor variable, contributing variable, causative variable, outcome variable, study variable. Friends, I record, I register, I'll tell you, my friends, and I promise, in the types of variables, tomorrow when I'm going to talk about testing of hypothesis, I shall give in detail. So don't worry about it. Fast up or again, I'm asking, am I making myself clear to you, ladies and gentlemen? I'll never ask, do you understand? Do you follow? சில பேர் சொல்லுவாங்க, புரியுதா 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 அப்படின்னு சொல்லி கேட்பாங்க. ஒரு ஆன் லைட்டர் சைடு ரொம்ப சீரியஸா பேசிட்டு இருக்கனால அதை சொல்றேன். நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைன் இருக்கும்போது இந்த மாதிரி கேட்டுட்டே இருக்கும்போது புதுசா என்னோட வாய்ஸை கேட்குறீங்க, ஓகே பரவாயில்ல சார், ஏதோ ஒரு மாதிரி தெரியுது சார் அப்படின்னு மனசுல நினைச்சிட்டே இருப்போம். திருப்பி நம்ம உட்காந்து புரியுதா புரியுதா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு என்னோட ஆங்ஸைட்டி உங்க மேல திணிச்ச உடனே ஐயோ என்ன இப்படி போய் கேட்கிறாரு அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒன்னும் பதில் சொல்ல முடியாம, இப்ப ஆன்லைன்ல இல்லாம ஆஃப்லைன்ல இருந்துச்சுன்னா எஸ்ன்னு சும்மா நாச்சுக்கு தலையாட்டுவீங்க. நீங்க இன்னொரு செட் ஆஃப் பீப்புள் இருப்பாங்க. அவங்க என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க தெரியுமா, புரியுதா புரியுதான்னு கேட்டுக்கிட்டே இருக்கும்போது மனசுக்குள்ள சொல்லுவாங்க, ஆனா வெளியில சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க. மனசுக்குள்ள என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க அப்படின்னா, சனினே புரியுற மாதிரி சொல்லி தொலைஞ்சா எனக்கு புரிஞ்சிருக்கும்ல, நீ பாட்டுக்கு யார் பெத்த பிள்ளையோ பேசுற மாதிரி நீ பாட்டு ஸ்கிரீனை பார்த்து பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன் நீனு அப்படின்னு கூட நினைக்கலாம். பட் வி டோன்ட் நோ. அதனாலதான் நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா, again I'll tell you, instead of asking புரியுதா, do you understand, do you follow, we in the counseling session we used to ask, are we making ourselves clear to you? உங்களுக்கு புரியுற மாதிரி நாங்க பேசுறோமா அப்படின்னு சொல்லி கேட்டேன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், you will have the temptation to ask questions even when you have understood or you have not understood. Okay, இதையும் நான் புரியுற மாதிரி பேசியிருக்கீங்கன்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். நான் தேங்க்யூ. Now let us come to the business. மேடம் பகவதி, உங்களுக்கு எதுவும் பிரேக் எதுவும் இருக்கா, இல்லாட்டா till 12:30 அப்படியே போயிடலாமா?
Yes sir, you can continue.
Thank you.
Till 1 o'clock also it's okay, because it is a very effective session we are getting.
Thank you madam. But எனக்கு ஒன்றும் ஆட்சேபனை இல்லை, எதிராளிக்கு தான் என்ன ஆட்சேபனை இருக்கான்னு எனக்கு தெரியும்.
Yes sir, yes sir, yeah.
Your honor அப்படின்னு சொல்றதுக்கு எனக்கு அதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் தெரியாதுங்க. But let me proceed. Thank you very much.
Yes sir, yes sir,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, let us come to the business. Please tell me, நீங்க சொல்லிருங்க, நான் ரொம்ப ஃபாஸ்டா போனேன்னு சொல்லிருங்க. நீங்க நான் வந்து ஸ்லோவா தான் பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். நான் okay,
it's very clear sir, very clear and very understandable.
Thank you. Let us go to the general research process in social science. No matter whether you are a student of law or psychology or education or literature, there are certain formats. That's what I am going to talk to you now, and that is called general research process. Again, I'll tell you, my friends, there is no hard and fast rule. இப்படித்தான் இருக்க வேண்டும் என்று கிடையாது. நம்மளுடைய கன்வீனியன்ஸ்க்காக நம்ம பண்றோம். ஓகே, இதுவுமே நம்மளுடைய கன்வீனியன்ஸ்க்காக தான் நம்ம பண்றோம். There are 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. இது 3 ரிசர்ச் பண்றதுக்கு வந்து 3 முக்கியமான phases இருக்குது. இதை நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா, மறுபடியும் சொல்றேன் நான், you yourself can understand the concept, the problem, you collect data and you can present it. அதனால நீ எப்படி பண்றது பாருங்க. Okay, phase 1. The first one is field selection. In which field I would like to do my research. இதுக்கு என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, it is purely based on your own interest. Supposing நீங்க you are a student of psychology ன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, there are different fields இருக்கு. Adolescent psychology, geriatric psychology, child psychology, abnormal psychology அப்படின்னு இருக்கிறாங்க. அதே போல லால வந்து நிறைய பிரான்ச்சஸ் இருக்கும். You have to select one branch, one field which you like most. Okay, எனக்கு தெரியல, law பத்தி எனக்கு தெரியாதனால I cannot give an example. But the point that I like to make here is field selection என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, just take into your syllabus. Law would a syllabus எடுத்து பாருங்க. Various fields போட்டிருப்பாங்க. ஓகே, அதுல எது உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிக்குது? சில பேருக்கு கிரிமினல் பிடிக்குது, இல்ல அது சில பேருக்கு வந்துட்டு என்னது சிவில் பிடிக்குது அப்படின்லாம் சொன்னாங்கன்னா எது உங்களுக்கு பிடிக்குது அப்படின்னு சொல்லி பாருங்க. That's called field selection. Next one is called review of literature. Review of literature என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா it serves three purposes. குறிச்சுக்கோங்க. It serves three purposes. Number one, to find out a research problem. ஒரு ரிசர்ச் ப்ராப்ளத்தை கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு ரிவ்யூ ஆஃப் லிட்ரேச்சர் ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்குங்க. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பாயிண்ட். செகண்ட் ஆப்ஜெக்டிவ் என்ன அப்படின்னா, டு ஃபைண்ட் அவுட் த வேரியஸ் வேரியபிள்ஸ் இன்வால்வ்ட் இன் த ஸ்டடி. என்னென்ன வேரியபிள்ஸ்லாம் இருக்கு இந்த ஸ்டடியில இருக்கலாம் அப்படிங்கிறத கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு ரிவ்யூ ஆஃப் லிட்ரேச்சர் இஸ் வெரி மச் யூஸ்ஃபுல். அண்ட் தேர்ட் ஒன் இஸ் ஆஃப்டர் conducting or completing the study, review of literature will help you whether or not your findings are coinciding with others. ஒரு கம்பேர் பண்றதுக்கு ரிவ்யூ ஆஃப் லிட்ரேச்சர் ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்குங்க. ஸோ த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பாயிண்ட் வந்து என்னன்னா, டு ஃபைண்ட் அவுட் அ ப்ராப்ளம். எதை படிக்க போறேன் அப்படின்னு பண்றதுக்கே ரிவ்யூ ஆஃப் லிட்ரேச்சர் will be much useful. As I told you during the first step, if you have selected one field, ஒரு ஃபீல்டு நீங்க எடுத்துட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நீங்க என்ன பண்ணணும்னா அந்த ஃபீல்டை மாத்திரம் ஃப்ரீஸ் பண்ணி you have to do review of literature. Friends, those were the days where we used to go to different libraries. கரெக்ட்ல, ஒவ்வொரு லைப்ரரியா போறோம். இப்ப பாருங்க, ஸ்ரீனிவாச ராகவன் என்னோட பிரதர் வந்து அழகா சொன்னாரு, என்னென்ன மாதிரி மெட்டீரியல்ஸ்லாம் இருக்கு, என்ன மாதிரி வாஸ்ட் டிஃபரன்ஸ். If you sit in front of your computer, internet access இருந்துச்சுன்னா நம்ம கூகுள் தான் நிறைய ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவாரு. ரிசர்ச் கேட் இருக்குது, ரைட்டுங்களா? ஸ்காலர் ரிசர்ச் ஸ்காலரோட இது இருக்குது. இதெல்லாம் நீங்க சர்ச் பண்ணீங்கன்னா இமீடியட்டா யூ கேன் see what are all the studies which have been conducted already. அதுல வந்து நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம் அப்படின்னா, a study which has been carried out many a time அப்படிங்கிறது என்ன. Second point, a study which was not focused at all. ரெண்டு எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம் minimum பார்க்கிறோம். நம்ம ஏன் ஒரு ஸ்டடி அதிகமாக எடுத்தாங்க, ஏன் ஒரே ஸ்டடி நிறைய பேர் படிச்சுட்டே இருக்கிறாங்க, why people are trying to talk about human rights violation, அதவே ஏன் படிக்கிறாங்க, அல்லது டொமஸ்டிக் வயலன்ஸ் பத்தி ஏன் அதிகமா படிக்கிறாங்க, is it that much important அப்படிங்கிறதுனாலும் ஒரு ரிசர்ச் எடுத்து பண்ணலாம். Why people are not at all focused on this area, why people are not talking about the legal aspects of mentally ill. மென்டல் இல்னஸ்ல இருக்கிறவனோட லீகல் ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸ் ஏன் சார் யாரும் பார்க்கல, நான் ஏன் படிக்க கூடாது? ஸோ இட் வில் கிவ் அ ஃபுட் ஃபார் தாட். ஸோ த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒன் இஸ் ரிவ்யூ ஆஃப் லிட்ரேச்சர். நீங்க என்ன செய்யறோம் அப்படின்னா, ஆஃப்டர் ஃபைண்டிங் ஆர் செலக்டிங் த ஃபீல்ட், யூ ஹேவ் டு do the review of literature. Number one, to identify 5 to 6 major work. அதுதான் review of literature first objective. அதுக்கப்புறம் நீங்க என்ன பண்ணணும், you have to select one particular, then you have to go in depth to that and identify the variables. Okay, so this is the objective of review of literature. Third one என்னன்னா, when you are doing the review of literature, third step என்ன அப்படின்னா, listing the interested topics. ஒரு ஃபீல்ட்ல வந்து there may be so many topics which have been carried out by many people. You take 4 or 5 and prioritize that. You prioritize that. This is very important for me. If I'm not taking this topic, then I would never get sleep at all, because it disturbs me to the core. I'm intellectually disturbed. Therefore, let me select this topic. அப்படின்னு நினைச்சிட்டு ஒரு 5 டாபிக் நீங்க எடுங்க. அந்த 5 டாபிக்லயுமே வந்து in-depth focused review of literature பண்ணணும். What we say is deduction அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. Deduction என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, from a larger perspective, you are going in deep. ரொம்ப டீப்பா உள்ள போனா அது பேரு டிடக்ஷன் பேரு. அதாவது வந்து ஒரு ஃபனலை வந்து கவுத்தி போட்டிருந்தா எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து, சாரி, ஃபனலை நேரா வச்சு பிடிச்சிருந்தோம்னா அது டிடக்ஷன் பேரு. லார்ஜ்ல இருந்து பெரிய வாயில இருந்து சிறுசா குறுக்கணும்னா அது பேரு டிடக்ஷன் பேரு. அதவே தலைகளை திருப்பி போட்டா வந்து இண்டக்ஷன் பேரு. But when you are in the third step, you have to identify the selected interested topics. Then in-depth review of literature will tell you how to deduce and select a specific problem. And the fourth step is the selection of a specific problem. Here I like to tell you, my friends, எல்லா ப்ராப்ளமே research problem தான். But very few are researchable problem. Formulation of a specific research problem indicates that you have to select a problem which should be attainable, achievable. அது மாதிரியான ஒரு ரிசர்ச் ப்ராப்ளத்தை எடுக்கணும். இந்த இடத்துல ஒரு புக்கோட பேர், எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச புக்கோட பேர் சொல்றேன் நான். ஃபவுண்டேஷன்ஸ் ஆஃப் பிஹேவியரல் ரிசர்ச் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு புக்கோட டைட்டில். ஃபவுண்டேஷன்ஸ் ஆஃப் பிஹேவியரல் ரிசர்ச் பை ஃப்ரெட் அண்ட் கர்லிங்கர். ஃப்ரெட் அண்ட் கர்லிங்கர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு சைக்காலஜிஸ்ட், அவர் வந்து எழுதியிருக்கிறார், பிஹேவியர் தெரபிஸ்ட், அவர் எழுதியிருக்கிற புக்கு. செகண்ட் சாப்டர்ல ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்வார். All research problems need not necessarily be researchable problems. All research problems are research problems are problems, but very few are researchable problems. அப்படின்னு சொல்றாரு. சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றாரு. How many angels can dance on a head of a pin? This is an example that he has quoted. You can read that particular book. Chapter 2 சொல்லியிருக்கிறாரு. How many angels can dance on a head of a pin? Is it a research question? Absolutely correct. It's a research question. But is it a researchable? We don't know. First of all, the question goes, how many angels can dance on a head of a pin? First of all, I have to identify an angel. An angel for me need not necessarily be an angel for you. And the problem start ஆயிடுச்சு. So first identification of the angel itself is a problem. Then even if we have identified an angel, we have agreed that she is an angel, then the angel should know how to dance. Second condition. அப்படியே ஆட தெரிஞ்சாலுமே that angel should dance on a head of a pin. ஒரு பின்னோட ஹெட்ல டான்ஸ் ஆடணும். இதெல்லாம் நடைமுறைக்கு சாத்தியப்பூர்ணா இல்ல. So these are called fairy tale question, wherein it's all in stories. You cannot conduct evidence-based research, but you can imagine and you can fantasize and you can be very happy. அப்ப research problem, specific problemனா என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, we have to select a problem which should be attainable. அது கண்டிப்பா முடிக்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு research problem எடுக்கணும். That's called formulation of the research problem. I shall give an example later. Once you have formulated, you have to clarify the research problem. This is very important phase. Clarification of the research problem, meaning you are trying to give the meaning for each and every term that you have used in the research title. Formulation of the research problem is nothing but your research title. You are selecting a title, and that is called formulation of the research problem. Once you have formulated, supposing I have formulated the psychological well-being of the persons who were affected by COVID-19 in Madurai city. This is the title. Now I have to clarify this. First of all, the psychological well-being. What I mean by the term psychological well-being. Okay. Then how I define the term psychological well-being. Is it possible for me to measure the term psychological well-being, that is quantifying the level of psychological well-being? So the first in the more questions கேட்கணும். Psychological well-being of COVID affected persons in Madurai city, if that was the title. So first I have to clarify what is psychological well-being. Then second one is COVID. COVID வந்து நான் define பண்ணணும். It is difficult to define COVID. But என்ன சொல்றேன், COVID affected அப்படின்னு சொல்றேன். கோவிட் அஃபெக்டட் அப்படின்னா அவங்க இன்ஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருக்காங்களா, அஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருக்காங்களா? இன்ஃபெக்ட் ஆனவங்க அஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருப்பாங்க, இன்ஃபெக்ட் ஆகாம இருந்தாலும் அஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருப்பாங்க. சப்போஸிங் மை ஃபாதர் வாஸ் இன்ஃபெக்டட், பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் தட் ஐ வாஸ் அஃபெக்டட். I would not have been infected, but I was affected. அப்ப அஃபெக்டட்னா என்ன அப்படிங்கறது கிளியர் பண்ணணும். மதுரை சிட்டி, ஃபைன். மதுரை சிட்டி அப்படின்னா which hospital that you are referring to? Are you referring the government hospital or a private hospital? So when I say that the psychological well-being of COVID affected in Madurai city, then all the terms are to be clarified. Friends, ஒரு சீக்ரெட் சொல்லிடுறேன், யார்கிட்ட சொல்லாதீங்க. When you are able to clarify the research problem, you are through and you will complete the research process. Once you are not able to clarify the problem, then you have to disturb your guide. இன்னும் நிறைய பேர் இருக்கிறாங்க. நம்ம என்னோட தம்பி பிரதர் சீனிவாச ராகவன் புதிய பறவை அப்படின்னு ஒரு படம் சொன்னாரு. நான் ஒரு படம் சொல்றேன், காதலிக்கு நேரமில்லை. நீ சொல்ற படத்தெல்லாம் பார்த்தா உங்களுக்கு கண்டிப்பா ஒரு 60 வயசு இருக்குங்க ஐயா அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறது என்னால தெரியுது. கெஸ் பண்றீங்க, நீங்க அப்சர்வ் பண்றீங்க, எனக்கு தெரியுது. காதலிக்கு நேரமில்லை அப்படிங்கிற படத்துல நாகேஷ் கேரக்டர் வந்து ரொம்ப ஃபென்டாஸ்டிக்கான கேரக்டர். அந்த படத்துல அவர் சொல்லுவாரு, இந்த ஹீரோயின் ரெடியா இருக்கிறாங்க, ஹீரோ உங்களை போட்டுடலாம், நம்ம அந்த சிச்சுவேஷனை பார்த்துடலாம், அந்த கதை ஒண்ணுதான் இல்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்றாரு. இது என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, without the matter people have all other things இல்லைங்க. In the clarification of the research problem, if you are able to do that without anybody's help, you can easily complete the research work. That means you are very much aware of what exactly you are going to do, how exactly you are going to define, how exactly you are going to measure the variables. If you are very clear, that means the clarification of the research problem is very clear. Next, the sixth step is very important, aim objectives. Generally, நிறைய பேர் என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னா aims of the study அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. Please, என்னோட little understanding, I'm not an English teacher. Nevertheless, I'll tell you, for a research study, there could be only one aim, but there could be more number of objectives. அப்ப எய்ம்ங்கிறது என்னன்னா, நம்மளுடைய நோக்கம், நம்மளுடைய இலக்கு என்ன அப்படின்னு பாக்குறது எய்ம். Objectives are the ways and means through which we can reach the goal. எப்படி நம்ம ரீச் பண்ண போறோம் அப்படின்னு பாக்குறது தான் வந்து objectives சொல்றாங்க. Okay, there could be one aim, there could be one aim, there could be more number of objectives. Now I'll tell you, my friends, aim எழுதுறது வந்து ரொம்ப ஈஸி. What was the example that I have given? Psychological well-being of COVID affected persons in Madurai city. அப்ப என்ன எய்ம் இருக்கும்? அந்த டைட்டிலே லைட்டா மாடிஃபை பண்ணி எழுதுங்க. The main aim of the study is to measure the level of psychological well-being of the COVID affected persons in Madurai city. டைட்டிலவே லைட்டா உல்டா பண்ணி எழுதுறேன்னா I got the aim. ஏன் தெரியுமா? எய்ம் ஒன்று வச்சுக்கிட்டு டைட்டில் ஒன்று இருக்கக்கூடாது. இட் ஷுட் கோயின்சைட். அதுல வந்து கரெக்டா சின்க்ரனைசேஷன் ஆகணும். அப்ஜெக்டிவ்ஸ் என்ன? அப்ஜெக்டிவ் நான் என்னென்ன பண்ண முடியுமோ அதெல்லாம் எழுதிக்கலாம். நம்பர் 1 என்ன பண்ணலாம்? I want to understand, to study the socio-demographic profile of COVID affected persons. அது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அப்ஜெக்டிவ் வச்சுக்கலாம். செகண்ட், to understand and measure the level of psychological well-being. ரெண்டாவது objectives. மூணாவது பாயிண்ட், to find out the association or relationship between the socio-demographic conditions and the psychological well-being of COVID affected persons. இது மூணாச்சா? அப்ப முதல்ல சோஷியல் டெமோக்ராபிக், ரெண்டாவது சைக்கலாஜிக்கல் வெல்பீயிங், மூணாவது வந்து ரெண்டையும் உள்ள லிங்க். And the fourth one is to suggest. அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நம்ம எழுதிட்டோம்னா the objectives are over. One important point that I like to tell you, my friends, in the objectivesல வந்து நிறைய verbs, verbs, verb வினை சொற்களை நீங்க உபயோகப்படுத்துவீங்க. That verbs will decide the fate of your research work as well the research design of your research work. அப்ப ஃபேக்னா என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா அதனுடைய இந்த ரிசர்ச் பண்ண முடியுமா முடியாதா அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து the kind of verbs that you have chosen அது வந்து clear கட்டா சொல்லும். Supposing I am mentioning that I want to understand or I want to describe அப்படின்னா ஈஸியா பண்ணிடலாம். On the other hand, I want to find out the impact of it. I want to find out efficacy of Covishield அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொன்னேன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். It requires a rigorous research study which comes under advanced research design. அதனால தான் நிறைய புக்ல ஆத்தர்ஸ் என்ன சொல்றாங்க அப்படின்னா if you are very clear and using very simple verbs, your study could be either a descriptive study or survey design. அதோட நீ நிப்பாட்டிக்கலாம். On the other hand, if you use highly advanced terms and terminologies like effectiveness, impact, etc., then you have to go for experimental studies. So aims and objectives are very, very important for any research study. Next one is variables and measurement. We have to identify the variables. In the title, the important variable is psychological well-being is an important variable. Then the socio-demographic characters are variables because the socio-demographic factors, age, gender, then whether or not they had a physical ailments prior to that, comorbid ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, அவனுக்கு டயபெட்டிக்ஸ் இருந்துச்சா, அவனுக்கு ப்ரெஷர் இருந்துச்சா, அதனால கோவிட் வந்து அஃபெக்ட் ஆச்சா. Okay, so all these are called variables and we have to define the variable, we have to measure the variable. Without defining and measuring, variable வந்து declare பண்ணவே கூடாது. Then we have to prepare a variable map. I'll just give an example of a variable map. The first left side like a box on it's called independent variables. Then right extreme like a box on it is called dependent variable. Research study we are trying to connect independent variables and dependent variables. அதுதான் research work னே பேரு. Okay, right. What do you mean by intervening variable அப்படின்னா intervening variables sometimes are called dependent variables and sometimes they are independent variables. For example, when you consider leadership styles and job involvement towards employee engagement, ஒரு HRM ஹியூமன் ரிசோர்ஸ் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய என்னோட PhD ஸ்காலரோட ஸ்டடியை நான் எடுத்து போட்டிருக்கேன். நான் I want to study the leadership style, I want to study the job involvement, I want to study the employee engagement. Leadership styles and the job involvement are independent variables when I take employee engagement as a dependent variable. Okay, in the center இருக்கிறது independent variable. Now, if I'm not talking about employee engagement, if I study only the leadership style and job involvement, they are dependent variable. How leadership style and job involvement are depend upon the designation, qualification, age, gender, marital status, etc., etc. அந்த இடத்துல சென்ட்ரல் இருக்கிறது வந்து என்னது dependent variable மாறுது. Therefore, an intervening variables are defined as sometimes they are independent, sometimes they are independent, sometimes they are dependent. அதான் வந்து variable map ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. I'll tell you one more secret, ladies and gentlemen. If you are able to draw the variable map, that means you are very clear of doing what kind of research that you are going to do. It is nothing but you are very clearly defined your conceptualization. The conceptualization வந்து ரொம்ப crystal clear நீங்க சொல்லிட்டீங்க. இதுதான் நான் படிக்க போறேன், இதுக்கு மேல எதையும் நான் படிக்க மாட்டேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்ல போறீங்க நீங்க. Number 2, if you have this diagram, then you can easily formulate more hypotheses by yourself. Higher the age, higher the job involvement. I'm trying to connect a socioeconomic variable with the job involvement. Higher the age, higher the job involvement. Or higher the age, higher the job involvement, better will be the employee engagement. I'm trying to show one path. இதைத்தான் பின்னாடி ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்ல வந்து path analysis அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. Okay, first உள்ளதுக்கு வந்துட்டு என்ன பண்றாங்க, correlation analysis. Higher the age, higher the job involvement. I'm trying to see the association. Age is a quantitative variable. Job involvement is again a quantitative variable, interval variable. Then ஒரு scale போட்டு measure பண்ணிட்டேன். When I have two quantitative variables, I have to select call PSNs R. அப்ப இது எல்லாமே இந்த மேப்ல வந்து நம்ம வந்து I'm able to present அப்படின்னா I'm clear of what I do. The next one is called research design. It is known as the blueprint of the research work is called research design. As I told you, the objective or null objectives and an objective of research, there are basically 4 types of research design. Number 1, you may take down formulative or explorative. Second one is descriptive. Third one is diagnostic. And fourth one is experimental research study. Okay, the first one is formulative or explorative, meaning the researcher is not having any idea about the research work. எங்க கோவிட் வர்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி நம்மளுக்கு ஏதாவது தெரிஞ்சா, இன்னும் சொல்ல போனா ஒரு hypothesis, during the first wave people were so scared but they were not having knowledge. கோவிட் எப்படி இருக்கும் என்ன இருக்குன்னே தெரியாது, but they were so scared. During second wave people have more knowledge but they are not scared. ஜாலியா மாஸ்க் போட மாட்டேங்கிறான், சானிடைசர் யூஸ் பண்றான், ஜாலியா சுத்தி திரியறான், ஸ்ப்ரெட்டிங் த டிசீஸ். சிம்டமேட்டிக்கா இருந்து ஸ்ப்ரெட்டிங் த டிசீஸ். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃபேஸுக்கும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வேவ்க்கும் செகண்ட் வேவ்க்குமே ஒரு டிஃபரன்சஸை பார்க்க முடியுது. அதுதான் ஹைபாத்தசிஸ்ன்னு சொல்றாங்க. அப்ப ஐ டோன்ட் நோ எனிதிங் அபவுட் இட், ஸோ ஐ சே இட் இஸ் ஃபார்முலேட்டிவ் ஆர் எக்ஸ்ப்ளோரேட்டிவ் டிசைன். ஐ ஹேவ் லிட்டில் ஐடியா நவ். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வேவ்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸை வச்சு செகண்ட் வேவ்ல வந்து நான் ரிசர்ச் பண்றேன், டிஸ்கிரைப் பண்றேன். லேடிஸ் தான் அதிகமாக அஃபெக்ட் ஆகுறாங்க, இன்ஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருக்கிறாங்க, அல்லது புவர் சோஷியோ எக்கனாமிக் பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்கிறவங்க வந்து இன்ஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருக்கிறாங்க, அல்ல யாருக்கெல்லாம் வந்து ஆக்சிஜன் ஓ டு சப்போர்ட் இல்லையோ தே ஆர் த சஃபரர்ஸ். இதெல்லாம் வந்து என்னால வந்து டிஸ்கிரைப் பண்ண முடியுது. வை? பிகாஸ் ஐ ஹவ் எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர்ட் ஆல்ரெடி during the first phase. Then second முடிஞ்சது description. Third வந்து என்ன? Diagnostic. I want to find out the cause and effect relationship. Is it because of the low poor immunity power that created COVID-19? அப்ப எனக்கு என்ன? What is that cause and effect relationship? That's called diagnostic research design. And the last one is whether immunity is the cause, whether immunity is the only cause. அப்படி நான் டிஃபைன் பண்ணியாச்சுன்னா it becomes experimental research design. Friends, design is a blueprint of your study. Now, these are the 4 basic research designs. In addition to that, we have got a lot of other designs like server design, explanatory designs, then quasi-experimental designs. Like that, we have got plenty of research designs. Okay, on the whole, research designs means the blueprint of a research study. Like before constructing a house, you'll construct an engineer will show a map. இந்த இடத்துல தாங்க டாய்லெட் இருக்கணும், இந்த இடத்துல தான் பூஜா. இந்த இடத்துல தான் பூஜா ரூம் இருக்கணும், இந்த இடத்துல ஹால், திஸ் இஸ் டைனிங் ஹால் அப்படிலாம் சொல்ற மாதிரி.
Yeah, you are not visible, sir. Your video.
No, I am showing my PowerPoint only.
Your video means you are.
No, I am not showing any video. That is some other person has called me in the mobile. Hello.
உங்களோட image, உங்களோட photo.
வர மாட்டீங்களா? I don't know.
Okay. Carry on, sir. No issues. Carry on.
You have been seeing me for a longer time.
Yeah, PPT. Yeah. We are seeing it. I am asking your video. உங்களோட video தெரியலன்னு சொல்ல.
Okay.
PPT, everything is perfect.
Right. Okay. Now research design only. No, I'm talking about research design.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, there are 4 types of research design: formulative or explorative. Number 1, number 2, descriptive. Number 3, diagnostic. Number 4, experimental. இது தவிர நிறைய designs இருக்கு. But as I told you, before constructing a house, we have a plan. எது எப்படி இருக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி. Similarly, before conducting a research work, we have a very crystal clear idea, and that's called our research design. Next one is hypothesis. It is known as a tentative statement or a tentative generalization. Okay? Tentative statement or tentative generalization. அதோட நிப்பாட்டக்கூடாது. which needs to be tested empirically. That's very important. Which needs to be tested empirically. வெறுமன statement மாத்திரம் சொல்லிட்டு போகக்கூடாது. Remember, your hypothesis is a guiding force. You can draw hypothesis by connecting two variables. ரெண்டு வேரியபிளை கனெக்ட் பண்ணாங்கன்னா ஒரு hypothesis, ஒரு statement கிடைக்கும். For example, higher the number of hours of study, higher will be the academic achievement. If you want to really achieve more, you have to work hard. So number of hours of study, academic achievement are the two variables. Right? அதே மாதிரி in our research title, two variables you have to identify and you have to connect minimum of two variables. That becomes hypothesis. Okay. And tomorrow, when we are talking about the testing of hypothesis, I shall give a lot of examples of different types of hypothesis, etc. So hypothesis is important. If you ask me personally, I would say, if you have hypothesis, you can easily complete your research work because hypothesis will take you. You have to do this, you have to collect the data, you have to analyze it, you apply statistical technique, then it's fine, finished. You have research is over. So hypothesis is very important step. The next one or the last step during the first phase is called pilot study. Well, people are having different opinion, but according to us, a pilot study is not the preliminary study. It is not a preliminary study. When you say it is a preliminary study, it is called pilot project. Pilot study here we mean I have my own title, I have my aim, objectives, research design, hypothesis, etc. Then I have to select a place where I can conduct a study. Right? Supposing I want to conduct the study at Madurai Government Hospital, then I have to go and meet the dean of the hospital. Then I have to discuss with him, sir, these are my aim, objectives, okay, the plan, design, hypothesis. Will you please give permission to carry out the study? I ask a question. So pilot study is a phase where you're trying to find out the feasibility of conducting the study. In the study பண்ண முடியுமா முடியாதா? If the government authorities no வேண்டாங்க இதெல்லாம் வேண்டாங்க ரொம்ப பொலிட்டிக்கல் இஷ்யூஸா மாறிடும், கோவிட் பத்தி ரொம்ப இதாயிடுவீங்க, நீங்க ஏதாவது ரிப்போர்ட் கொடுத்துருவீங்க, சாரி அப்படின்னா it is not possible for me to carry out the study in government hospital. Therefore, I have to switch over to a private hospital. Feasibility of conducting a study. I have studied what I wanted to study. நான் என்ன பண்ணணும்ங்கறத prepare பண்ணிட்டேன். But then I do not have the place to study. But to find out the feasibility of conducting the study, I use the word pilot study. Friends, this up to this, it's called first phase. So at the end of the first phase, we'll come to know or we'll be very clear of what we are supposed to study. All right. So
உங்களோட வீடியோ தெரியலன்னு சொன்னீங்க.
ஆமாங்க மேடம். இன்னும் தெரியலையா?
இல்ல ஓகே.
Okay. So end of the phase 1 என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, you are very clear of what to do. In research, there are two things you have to observe. One is called what to do, then second what to study, and second one is how to study. What to study அப்படின்னா the aim, objectives, hypothesis, designs, etc. What to study, clarification of the problem, இதெல்லாம் வந்து what to study. How to study என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா, how are you going to carry out the study? But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, most of the research scholars, irrespective of the field, அது வந்து லால மாத்திரம் இல்லை, சைக்காலஜில, எஜுகேஷன்ல, சோஷியல் ஒர்க்ல, இங்கிலீஷ் லிட்ரேச்சர்ல, எல்லா ஃபீல்டுமே invariably the situation is present. என்ன தெரியுமா? Suddenly one scholar will come to us and they'll say, sir, I have a school. I have 500 children, around 100 teachers. So samples, there won't be any problem, sir. Sir, I can get the help of my friend who is so good in SPSS analysis, like Professor Durai Swami. He said he will cooperate with me, sir. He'll help me, sir. So analysis part is over, sir. Fine. Sir, I know a friend of mine who can do the data entry, sir, and I know a friend of mine who can easily type my record, sir. Everything is fine, sir. But tell me one research topic, sir. I'll do it, sir. அப்படின்னு வருவாங்க. ரொம்ப pathetic-ஆ இருக்கும். Please understand, those who are listening to me, my friends, I do not know the number, but then I'm just giving a suggestion. என்ன அப்படின்னா, don't ask a research title from your guide. If you are asking a guide, if நான் தான் ஒரு research guide என்ன கேட்டீங்கன்னா, I will suggest a topic which I like most, which need not be true, or you may not like the topic. இப்போ என்கிட்ட ஒரு டாபிக் கேட்டீங்கன்னா நான் வந்து ஏதாவது ஒன்று சொல்லிட்டு இருப்பேன் நான். So you have to finalize or select a topic, and you have to discuss with your guide the methodology and other things. Please, you after completing this 3-day national seminar on quantitative and qualitative research, don't ever ask your research guide or any person to suggest a topic. If you are not asking, I think the objective of this training program is satisfied. You yourself should try. Rome was not built on a single day. Try பண்ணுங்க. At this age, I have completed roughly around 36 to 40 years of teaching experience. Every day I feel, whenever I look at any research work, every day I feel that it's all very new. அவ்வளவு இருக்குங்க. Last week I was listening to a friend of mine, who spoke on SEM and AMOS, a recent analysis software, SEM and AMOS, structural equation modeling and analysis of movement of structure. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா வந்து ஸ்கேல் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷனை பத்தி பேசிட்டு இருந்தாரு. It was a food for thought for me. என்ஜாய் பண்ணி கேட்டேன். So there is no end to it. Therefore, you select a topic of your own interest. And so the first phase is over, where we discussed how we have to select a topic, what is to be done. That's the first phase. Let us move on to the second phase. Second phase என்ன அப்படின்னா, how are you going to do it? So first phase வந்து what, second phase வந்து how. First of all, we have to select the universe. Universe is nothing but your entire population, and you have to select. Supposing you are trying to find out, you are going to work with COVID affected patients. All the patients at government hospital is your universe. Now, it is very obvious, rather it is obviously obvious, we cannot cover the entire universe. When you cover the entire, or when you want to cover the entire universe, you may require a lot of manpower, more money, more time, etc. Excuse me, more money, etc. So, and another important point is, when you are talking about universe, there could be two types of universes. Number one, definable universe, and second one is undefinable universe. Friends, whenever you have a definable universe, then only you can go for proper sampling technique. You should know the universe. Supposing I say Dr. Ambedkar Law University, so many students have registered for first year, second year, third year. Okay, that is called definable universe. Number of law graduates in India, it is not definable. It is very difficult to define. We have to talk to all the university vice chancellors on private colleges, if at all there is. Then we have to collect the data. By the time you collect the data to find out the number of persons, then you will become bold. Then you cannot pursue as a research study. So when you're talking about universe, there are two types of universes. One is definable, another one is undefinable universe. But I would suggest, if you have a definable universe, you can conduct a study very easily. Next. But when you're talking about when you're talking about universe, as I told you, it takes more time, more money, etc. And sometimes the universe may be undefinable. When you want to convert the undefinable universe into definable universe, you are using this condition called inclusion and exclusion conditions. These are called parameters or indicators, wherein you are trying to filter the undefinable universe into a definable universe. ஒரு ஃபில்டர் பண்ண போறேன். ஏன்னா இந்த பர்டிகுலர் ஏஜ்ல இருக்கிறவங்க தான் நான் ஸ்டடியில இன்க்ளூட் பண்ண போறேன். ஓகே, In the particular இந்த மாதிரியான diseased persons எல்லாம் இருந்தாங்கன்னா அதை exclude பண்ணிடுவேன் நான். When I am trying to do some inclusion exclusion, it means I am trying to filter the population. Okay. Then next one is called sampling. That is selecting the few from the universe. Why we have to select sample? It is obvious that we cannot cover the entire universe. It takes more money, more time, more energy, more manpower, etc. But then, if you select the samples very systematically, you can predict for the entire universe that you have. If you have got a universe as 1,000 people, and if you have collected the data, and on the other hand, if you are selecting 100 from 1,000 very systematically, the results will be similar. Okay, the results by samples and results by the universe will be similar. அப்ப அது எதுக்கு நம்ம வந்து ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்படணும்? So go for sampling. When I say sampling, there are basically two different types of sampling. One is called probability sampling, another one is non-probability sampling. What do you mean by probability sampling? If you apply the theory of probability, then you are using probability sampling. That means providing an equal opportunity for being selected. It is not a biased one. Okay, so that's about sampling. Then method of data collection. Basically, there are three methods of data collection. One is called observation. Second one is called interview schedule. And third one is mailed questionnaire. There are a lot of confusions between method and tool. I'll tell you later. But you see that there are methods like observation, interview schedule, mailed questionnaire. And currently now they talk about qualitative way of collecting the data called focused group discussion and key informant interview, KII, key informant interview. So these are all the methods. Then tools for data collection, the instruments that you are going to use. The instruments could be of two types. One is called you yourself can construct a tool, or you can borrow from somebody. That means I want to prepare a tool of my own style. I know there are different types of questions: open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, dichotomous questions. These type of questions, I formulate my own questions based on my objectives of the study. That's first type. Second type, I said I want to study the psychological well-being. Why should I break my head to define and measure the psychological well-being? அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு construct நான் வந்து கஷ்டப்படணும். Already there are standardized instruments are available. Get that particular instrument. அதுதான் scale அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. அப்ப tools வந்துட்டு you yourself can construct or you can borrow it from somebody. இந்த இடத்துல தான் the internet ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். There are so many instruments available through net. You can download it, but you have to be very careful in administering the tool, which I'll tell you tomorrow. Then next one is pre-test. If you have prepared the tool by yourself, you have to test it with 15% or 16% or 20%. That is to find out the efficacy of the tool. Friend, in pilot study, I talked about the feasibility, whereas in pre-test, I talk about the efficacy of the tool that I have prepared. That's called pre-test. Then actual data collection means you go to the field to collect the information. Okay, that's called field work, actual data collection. After data collection is over, you have to do the data entry, okay, and data cleaning. You can do the data entry manually or with the help of computer. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about some computerized techniques and tests and all. And our friend, Dr. Durai Swami, will also explain how you can perform with the help of SPSS. So data entry could be done manually or through electronically. Once you have done the data entry, you have to clean it. Cleaning of the data meaning some unwanted, I wouldn't say unwanted, the trivial or outliers. Because of the extreme values, our results would have been affected. So we have to trim that, we have to clean the data. So our registrar has talked about missing value. He mentioned the word missing value. So all these things should be should be done by doing data cleaning. Okay, I shall explain tomorrow when I talk about this statistical test. Then data analysis. That means application of statistical techniques. Based on the hypothesis that you have got, you have to select the appropriate statistical techniques. And friends, at this point of time, many of the computer center people, many of the experts are keeping that as a business secret, and they are charging very heavily. Don't you worry, tomorrow I'll tell you when to select what statistical technique. If you follow all the techniques, you can complete PhD in law or postdoctoral fellowship in law. So those are the techniques, roughly around 30 techniques available. I'm really going to let the cat out of the bag tomorrow. So for tomorrow's lectures only, I'm giving all this base. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to discuss what are the different statistical techniques and how can select all these techniques. What are the prerequisites or conditions? That part I'll tell you tomorrow. That is called data analysis. Then report preparation. You have to prepare the report. As my brother Srinivas Adagavan talked about MLA, then Oxford, then APA. These are the different types of reporting. I don't know what type of methodology that you are following in law school. I don't know. You can do that. That's called report preparation. Okay. The reports are being prepared for two different reasons. Number one, for documentation. Number two, I wanted to record what I have done. Okay. So that's about report preparation. Up to this, it is called end of phase two. I want to have just 5 more minutes, madam. I'll complete it. This is called end of phase two, where we have dealt with how it should be done, how it should be. During the first phase, we have done what is to be done, and during the second phase, how it should be carried out. And the last one is the third phase, where we talk about time budgeting, cost budgeting, action plan preparation, limitations, scope for further research, conclusions, etc. This is how we can deal, or the fine tuning of the research is called phase 3. Okay, I'll show time budgeting, cost budgeting, action plan preparation, and you'll also think about the limitations. Then we'll also think about the scope for further research. Then we conclude it. That's called phase 3. And these are all the three different phases wherein we engage ourselves in the process of doing research in the field of social sciences. Okay, I just given highlight. I was so happy the registrar, Dr. Balaji sir, as well as our advisor NAC, Dr. Ponmudi Raj, and my brother Srinivasa Raghavan. They have given all these terms and terminologies. அவங்க எல்லாம் பேசினதுக்கு அப்புறம் நான் பேசுறது வந்து ரெப்பிட்டேஷன் ஆனாலுமே they indirectly helped me to pay way. இதெல்லாம் அழகா terms and terminology சொன்னாங்க. அவங்க சொன்னதை வச்சு தான் நம்ம அப்படியே பில்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கேன் நான். Actually, I didn't know that those people are going to say the same thing. But I have prepared my slides, and I have just introduced the general research process. Over to the audience. If you have any specific question, you can ask questions. Yes. Video. Why video is not there?
Yeah, your picture. That's why we are saying. Yeah, now it is visible.
Oh God. So this is what I want to tell you, my friends. It's a base only, ரொம்ப basic fundamental. இன்னொன்னு தெரியுமா, தமிழ்லே சொல்லிடுறேன் நான். உலகத்திலே ஈஸியானது எதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு இப்ப பகவதி மேடத்தை கேளுங்க, அவங்க சொல்லுவாங்க. அல்லது இந்த சோனா மேடம் பேசுறது, அது ஆங்கர். If you ask her, she'll tell you. But உலகத்திலே ஈஸியானது என்ன அப்படின்னா, doing research in the field of social sciences. உலகத்திலே ஈஸியானது doing research in the field of social sciences. In my house, during COVID சரி, ஆர்டினரி டைத்திலையும் சரி, திடீர்னு ஒரு ஏதாவது ஒன்று செஞ்சுட்டு வந்துட்டு இது என்னன்னு சொல்லுங்கன்னு என் ஒய்ஃப் கேட்பாங்க. என்னன்னு சொல்லுங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு we have to baptize that. சொல்லணும். Same Bisibella bar is done in different occasions, different ways. It's very difficult to prepare, but doing research in the field of social sciences is the very easiest task, provided you follow the methods. Very simple. Okay, simple methods you can follow, you can easily do it. So with these few words, once again I thank the organizers, especially the Vice Chancellor, the registrar, my friend, my brother Srinivasa Raghavan, then the advisor NAC, Dr. Pon Muniraj, then Madam Bhagavati, and of course all the members who have listened to my talk. Go to the organizers. Take care. Love you.
Thank you.
Hope I make myself clear.
Yeah. Participants are requested to raise your questions if you are having any clarification with the resource person. This is a great opportunity to utilize.
Sorry, one semester portions was asked to cover 1.5 hours.
And sir, I think it was absolutely an honor to see that. I think months that we spent together, we wouldn't have learned this much in just 1 hour, sir. We actually have a couple of questions from our participants, sir.
Let me try to manage.
Bhagwati ma'am, this is Uma Maheshwari.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to clarify myself with reference to some basics on that. Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, this is Uma Maheshwari, faculty of this Ambedkar Law University, sir. I have some basic questions. I mean, in legal research, the limitation at which we do all the statistical analysis is collection of data and probably a percentage method to analyze whether the cause and effect relationship is there or not more than that. Does it again amount to empirical research or not, or is it just the basics?
It's a nice question that you have asked, madam. I must appreciate it. It depends upon the objective of your research study. If you want to simply present the facts, you can present in terms of percentages and graphs, etc. That is one portion. But after identifying the facts and figures, if you are intellectually disturbed, then you'll ask further questions and you'll probe into that. Then only you'll see, you'll try to find out the cause and effect relationship. Okay, so you have to, after collecting the data, you identify the variables and see whether these things could be replicated or will be present or not. If you ask the question, then there is a possibility to go for description, diagnosis, and experimental design. There is a possibility. There is a possibility. That depends upon the mental makeup of the researcher. ரைட்டுங்களா? நிறைய பேர் வந்து நிறைய அட்வொகேட்ஸ் ஆர் நிறைய இவங்கெல்லாம் வந்து பேப்பர் ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்றாங்கன்னா they have a research blend and therefore they are asking question why it is so. Sometimes they ask why not. If you are trying to get answers, you do real empirical evidence research.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome, madam.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, I myself am Karunakar, sir, from Telangana. It's a wonderful session, sir. Thank you, organizers. Sir, my question is, could you please differentiate between research question and research hypothesis, sir? Because in social sciences, we try to give answers to the research questions. Could we formulate research hypothesis in qualitative research studies, sir?
Okay, fine. The first one is there is a sequence. 6 steps are there. Research questions. First point number 1, research questions. Then you are going to have research hypothesis. The research question should be converted into research hypothesis. And that research hypothesis sometimes cannot be tested directly. So you are going to make that as a null hypothesis. Research questions are very vague questions, whereas research hypotheses are very crystal clear questions. I wanted to know whether age is influencing the COVID affection. I wanted to say whether age is very important factor for COVID infection or affection. Therefore, I formulate higher the age, higher will be the infection. That is the hypothesis. Okay. Higher the age, higher the infection is the hypothesis. But the research question is whether or not age play an important role in the COVID infection. The research question is converted into a research hypothesis, and that research hypothesis has to be tested. So that is the link, sir. That's a flow. You have to follow that. But mostly in some of the social sciences, they say hypothesis as the research question. That depends upon the guide and the other persons. There is no these standard formats are in social sciences. It depends. I hope I have made myself clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. One more question, sir.
Please.
In research, every researcher tries to find the answers of questions. Can we do research on not only negative side? Can we do research on positive sides? Because so many researchers try to find answers. A few questions like low achievement, low. Can we try to find the answers through research to positive sides? How they achieve high achievement, high performance? Can we answer through research?
Absolutely, sir. That is an important thing that you have to do. It's called action research. We say it's an action research. It's a kind of an experimental research. Whether these things will really influence whether this particular cause is influencing this effect. Is there any connections? That is real research, sir. Otherwise, simply you are presenting the data is called descriptive study. Okay? If I want to study the cause and effect relationship, then I have to do experimental studies. Your question is valid. That is real research. You want to contribute something, whether if a person is following, having all these things, whether or not he will belong to this particular category or not, you are trying to find out. It's a good one.
Sir, one more, sir. Sorry.
Please.
Sir, in Telangana, there is a institution, society, sir. They are performing better, sir. They are achieving good results. I wanted to study how they are performing better, how they are achieving good results. I want to study, sir. But most of my friends and fellows, they are discouraged me. Why do you?
Okay. Hello. Hello. Some problem? I think he,
No. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think
got
both are.
disconnected.
Yeah.
But his question is valid. See, what he was trying to ask is he wants to do real research. He wants to find out why certain people are able to achieve in academics or whatever it may be, why some people are not. He wants to conduct a kind of an experimental study. This is the most interesting study. So that type of studies could be encouraged. But he says his friends are mocking at him as a that's different. Okay. Now, any other questions?
Yes, so in the chat box, we have like 3 questions.
What are they?
The first question is, at what base finding research gaps, particularly scientometrics? I believe the question is, what are the gaps, research gaps, especially when it comes to scientometrics?
I think probably the person is from psychology. Isn't it so?
I believe so.
That's a very technical, madam. It requires more time to explain. First of all, I wanted to ascertain whether they know what is psychometry or not, because it involves a lot of technicalities. No, with this, we cannot answer to that. But identifying the gap, everywhere you can identify the research gap. Okay. Only thing is you should see with your ideas whether or not there exists any gap. Like I told you, women are mostly affected in COVID. I can ask the question: why women are being affected because of COVID? Is it because of the behavior pattern that they have? All these things could be raised. So there's a possibility. Okay. Now, at this juncture, I can only answer to this level.
So I would request that person to connect with sir tomorrow after the session.
Fine.
The second question, sir, is there any new variable that can be added in our study without an RL?
Fine, good question. In the research, I mean, in types of research, there is one more term called extraneous variable or concomitant research, concomitant variable. Uh, Review of literature, there would not have been any literature review. In the literature, there would not have, they would not have mentioned about the variable. I'll just give an example. Okay, it was done in the field of nursing. I'll give an example. I don't mind taking much time. In the field of nursing, they were conducting research that they wanted to provide prenatal care to pregnant women. Please understand, they wanted to give prenatal care to pregnant women with an assumption that if the pregnant women are aware of prenatal care, probably at the time of delivery, the weight of the baby may be more than 3 kgs. That was an assumption. Because more prenatal care, more knowledge, therefore I'll perform well and I'll take lot of food, etc. Then my at the time of delivery, the weight of the baby will be more than 3 kgs. They have selected 60 pregnant women. Once they have delivered, they become the mothers and they have measured the weight of the baby. The knowledge about prenatal care and weight of the baby, they have correlated, and unfortunately, they didn't see any correlation at all. They were very surprised. There was no correlation between the knowledge about the prenatal care and weight of the baby. But there was one statistician, and he asked a question. Tell me the profile of the, now they are mothers, no? Tell me the profile of the mothers. Then they said this is, etc. Then he gave a clue. You divide the 60, now the mothers into 2 groups. Those who are educated, those who are illiterate. So they asked you to divide that. Then you do the correlation test separately. They have found beautiful correlation, meaning that when the target groups are divided into 2 groups, namely illiterate and literate, there was a beautiful correlation. Now, it was not mentioned in the literature that education is an important variable. Now they have found out that the education played an important variable. That is called extraneous variable or extraneous parameter. So it is possible in research. But in social sciences, 99% of the variables are explored already. It is there in the internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, madam?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. We have one more question. Which research design we use mostly in research process, as it is survey research? Basically, in survey research, which research design is used?
Well, the answer is very simple. If you have more knowledge about the variables, okay, if you have more knowledge about the variables, then you go for descriptive. But if you have the knowledge about variables and their implications, the cause and effect relationship, then you go for experimental. But in the field of psychology, only they do true experiments. Whenever you are in the social science field, conducting true experiments may require rigorous treatment. There are a lot of assumptions too, like for example randomization, then controlling. All these things play an important role. That is why if you have lot of variables, you can go for descriptive or diagnostic research design.
Thank you, sir. So there's one more question. Can we take that up, sir?
Yes, we do that.
In questionnaire method, is there any particular percentage to take questionnaire for research?
Come again, please.
In the questionnaire method, is there any particular percentage to take the questionnaire for research?
Well, probably the person is asking this question. Suppose I send a questionnaire to 100 persons. The percentage of written will be 15 to 20% only. Even in the Google format also, no, every day in a WhatsApp I get lot of questionnaire. Kindly fill it up, fill it up. Am I really filling it up? I don't know. Sometimes I fill it up, sometimes I don't do it. So the percentage of written is very, very less. Unless and until you make the person to answer, it is not possible. So that is the only answer right now I can give.
Correct, sir. Thank you, sir. One last question maybe we can take, sir, from Dr. S. Rajalakshmi. Ma'am is asking, are the terms reliability and validity relevant to ensuring credibility in qualitative research?
Yeah, basically, I don't belong to qualitative research methodology. I am basically a quantitative man. But in quantitative research, we have reliability, validity. There are various tests which could be carried out to find out the reliability coefficient, validity coefficients. And reliability, validity ranges between 0 and 1. Any reliability, validity value more than 0.6 is can be considered. That's what I can comment upon in quantitative. I do not know anything about qualitative because I'm far away from qualitative research.
I hope that answered. Okay, there's one more question, sir. I'm extremely sorry for taking up your time. Can we
No
take this
problem.
question, sir?
Yeah. No
Thank you, sir. So, Dr. V. Nitya wants to know how to determine the sample size, sir. For example,
Okay.
Tamil Nadu, including urban and rural.
Well, it's a very standard question in PhD Viva also. How to decide the size of the sample? Well, there are certain formulae available, and you have to have little basics about statistics. In statistics, we say 95% of confidence, 5% error, and confidence interval, etc. These are the terms that we use. If you have some data regarding the population mean, if we have something related to population mean of that particular area for a parameter in which you wanted to conduct a study, by using the formula, you can generate the size of the sample. Point number one. So you need to have a population mean, but it is very difficult to get the population mean. Therefore, we go for a sample mean by using a formula. We apply the formula and we predict the size of the sample. When you have a sample mean and percentage of confidence and percentage of error, you can decide the size of the sample. Sir, sir, it's very difficult for me, sir. Don't you worry. You log on to Survey Monkey. You just go to internet, Google, you log on to Survey Monkey and you ask for size of the sample. Now you say the total population is approximately 10,000. You type 10,000. You say 95% confidence. Then margin of error 2%. If you simply type, it will suggest the size of the sample. So you need not worry about it. So depend upon Survey Monkey. That's all I can say to you right now.
That is very useful, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So I think there are no more questions. So we can wrap it up. Sir, on behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, on behalf of our registrar, vice chancellor, and everybody who attended the session today, I would say what we went through or what we got today was gold, sir. Like extremely valuable information in a very short span of time, and this will only increase the value of this knowledge will only increase with each day passing by. So thank you so much, sir, for the time that you took. And everything was very, very easy to follow. And I could see the 40 years of teaching experience on screen, sir. It was, as a student, it was very, very easy for me to follow, sir. Thank you so much for taking up the time and for being here with us today, sir.
I hope, again, same thing I will not ask. I hope I have made myself clear.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. There was utmost clarity, and I'm sure that this will motivate all our participants to join tomorrow as well. Any last thoughts, sir? Any last words to our participants?
I'm so happy to associate தமிழ்ல நான் சொல்லிடுறேன். நான் எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிக்காதவங்க யாருன்னா வந்து போலீஸ்காரங்களும் அட்வொகேட்ஸும் டாக்டர்ஸும் தான் எனக்கு பிடிக்கவே பிடிக்காது. பட் அன்பார்ச்சுனேட்லி ஐ எம் டீலிங் வித் ஆல் தீஸ் பீப்புள் நவ். I am assistant state nodal officer, Tamil Nadu Police Wellbeing. I'm moving with the doctors now. I have a lot of legal friends. நிறைய பேர் இருக்கிறாங்க. I am slowly trying to understand. அவங்களுடைய பிளாட்ஃபார்ம்ல உட்காந்து அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். I must thank Dr. Ambedkar Law University for having provided this opportunity. Probably நினைச்சிருப்பாங்க, you fellow, you are not at all understanding our legal aspects. Better you come and learn. அதுதான் கடவுளோட சித்தம் போல இருக்கு. அதனால I am so happy to associate myself with this organization. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Special thanks to Bhagavati madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We have to thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And to Sona Math, who just did a wonderful comparing work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. All the participants are requested to fill the feedback form. I've shared it in the chat box. Kindly fill it up. I will also be dropping the workshop link for tomorrow so that you can join us tomorrow and continue learning and growing. We have 2 resource people joining us tomorrow as well.
Thank you.
Can I leave from this?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.